Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from Percy'sGrowroom.com. I am Macky from the UK, and joining us this week, we have Margaret.
Hello, everyone. It's Margaret coming from central Canada, and it's kind of a gray day. Kind of,
Boo.
I know it's going to be like this probably until April, so I should get used to it. But
Any snow
oh well.
yet?
Yeah, we have snow, and we've had rain
Oh,
and snow and rain, and it's been kind of weird.
oh,
I know.
damn. Unlucky.
Wish
But
it was
anyway, we,
snow.
we also have Billy Barnes. Hopefully the electricity stays on this week, Billy. How you doing, man?
Yeah, hopefully it stays on in Cornwall this time. But we've had no storms, and a couple of little villages have complained that their electricity still goes on and off, but we've had no problems. So hopefully it'll be all right. And like you say, Margaret, it's been really grey and foggy here as well. So it's just one of them.
Oh,
It's been dark all day as well, if you know what I mean. Do you know when
Mm-hmm.
you probably could have put the light on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to see
Yeah.
properly? You
Mm-hmm.
don't,
mhm.
but like you probably could have done. It's just like, yeah, so it's just been fog all day.
Yeah. Well,
Lovely.
we also have special guest today. We have Brian. What's up, Brian?
What's up, guys? Appreciate you guys having me back on a Sunday show. It's fun to do this.
Oh no, always a pleasure, man. You're always welcome, bro. You had some. What did you do last week? You were out in some festival or something. What was going on there?
I do reptile expos. So some of the bigger expos are right around this time. And one of the ones that I could get to was in Kansas City. So I drove out there. I have four children, so it's a big deal to just even drive 2 hours, let alone basically
Mm-hmm.
10 hours. So I was
Damn.
doing all that.
Oof. Yeah, long
You've done
drive, man.
10 hours of driving with children.
With children and had to drive through the night last Sunday. So
Fuck it.
that's
Gosh.
nuts.
That's brave, that is, isn't it? I think he deserves
Well,
a
if it's
round of
through the night,
applause
they'll
for
be
that.
sleeping, right? And they probably slept most of the way.
Yeah, everybody's sleeping, but for me, it's like a 36-hour day.
Oof.
That's a
Oh,
full
Goddamn.
long.
Yeah, lame, man. But yeah,
mate,
good for you to join us this week, and at least you're not driving all over the place now. Hopefully, anyway, you're chilling, right?
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? I'm done for 6 weeks, so it
Nice.
feels good, like doing that kind of stuff.
Nice, man. Cool. And there we go. Well, we are talking about some cannabis news and events today. We've got one particular story about Elton John, and I'm sure you can see that in the title. The title over on YouTube is something like, "What the fuck does Elton John know anyway?" Like, I'm not even going to start the rant yet. We've all been holding
don't
back
start.
before the show started there. We were all talking about Elon, not Elon, we were talking about Elton John, and we wanted to fucking rant about it then. It was like, save it, don't do it yet. Wait until we go live, and then we can rant about this fool. But along with that news story, we have older Australians are turning to cannabis as cigarette prices rise. And Bubble Hawk told us about this kind of thing when he was on the show, how crazy expensive cigarettes are over in Australia. So imagine if it comes to the point where cigarettes are actually more expensive than cannabis. How fucking crazy would that be? California lawmaker questioned in sprawling cannabis corruption investigation. Corruption in a capitalistic market. Who would have thought it? And then federal government fails to implement ambitious program. Sorry, distracted there. Uh, yeah, federal government fails to implement ambitious program to streamline cannabis pardons by deadline. So yeah, seems like some more dodgy federal shit going on. And then we got one about the NFL here as well. Brian's brought one about the NFL. The NFL adopts new cannabis policy for players, reducing fines and increasing THC limit for drug tests. Very cool. The stigma is finally being lifted, man. That's very good to see. So there's some news stories, and in the Grow Guides, we're going to be talking about how to make hashish. Because if you're following the Grow Guides now, your grow should be just about over, and you should have loads of cannabis. Right? You're like, what the fuck should I do with all this weed? Make some hash. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the Grow Guides later. But that's everything right there. What are we all smoking on today? We got something nice, Billy. What you got?
Yeah, man, I've got some red leb puck crossed with some skunky shit from Mr. Chill, but I've added hash
Beautiful.
to it and it makes it well fucking nice. But
Mm-mm.
also, I have something called Psycho Pam, again from like the High Craft Organics people. and that's fucking strong as well. So it's like, yeah, I'm a little bit stoned at the minute.
Nice. That's where you should
Yeah.
be. What's Margaret got? Margaret, you've always got something nice. What do you have this week?
I have more edible. I have edibles and an edibles beverage as well.
Nice.
Um,
What's the beverage?
It is the Sense and Purpose Recharge Orange, Pineapple, and Passion Fruit Sparkling Water and Juice.
Okay. Damn. I'd love to try one of these cannabis drinks sometime, man. They always sound quite delicious.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have out there, Brian?
I'm smoking on some solventless from Mark, MI Beneficials. It's the Purple Pez, and I gotta tell you, it's very pungent. So I'm probably gonna be with Billy today as well and be an extra stony.
Ooh. Gosh, I've got my mitre here. I don't know what. I got one of the weeds that I grew a while ago, so I've forgotten the name of it now. I didn't label the jars and shit. You know, it's like I know which one is which, and then after a few weeks, you kind of forget which one is which. So yeah, just this nice sweet weed that I have is for a Mephisto bud. I don't know what fucking strain it is, but yeah, in the mighty there, delicious. Enjoying the mighty, yeah. So I won't be too high, hopefully. I'll be enjoying the taste of some tasty cannabis. Delicious. Is that the intro already in 6 minutes? You see how professional that was? Gosh.
That's quite professional. That was. What's going on
Yeah.
there?
It's a
Gosh.
Christmas miracle.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, Margaret.
It's because I'm just, trying to get everything done as quickly as possible because my PC could cut out at any moment. You know, it's been been troublesome over the last couple of days. Let's just say that. Gosh, but it should be all right. It should be okay. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I mean, we had interview with Belle the other day. Margaret, she was on the show. Cherry Blossom
you?
Belle, French's assistant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, great interview. And I thought we could do. We could talk about hash and the grow guides this week because we can do the interview on Wednesday. I'll send that one out where we spoke about hash and then do a hash on Friday, So it all ties in nicely. Right. Is that everything?
By the way, Cherry Blossom, that chick is a legend. So if you've never heard that name before, I would check that out.
Good interview, man. We didn't speak loads about hash because with our interviews, we just like to talk about loads of random things. Yeah, so we spoke about lots of random things and hash.
Yeah.
Good interview. I
Can't
enjoyed
not
it.
talk about hash when you're talking to her.
Yeah. And
Also, it was actually on French's birthday as well.
Yeah, it
which
was,
a
yeah.
big bonus. So that was
that's cool.
nice.
Yeah.
it was French's birthday on the 13th, it was. R.I.P. Frenchy Cannoli, what a legend. And if anybody doesn't know that name, then they need to go check that out as well. You should do a Google search for Frenchy Cannoli and definitely check out his YouTube channels. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the hash bit as well. But I think that's everything, right? We mentioned what we're smoking on. Everybody did a nice intro. I think we're ready.
What
to
about
move on to the
random
news.
shit?
We don't want to go on random shit. Do we want to go? I mean, because once we get stuck on something random, we can go on for fucking ages. We look at Margaret
That's a good
last week
point,
with
actually.
fucking
Yeah.
aliens. She went on for
Yeah,
about
yeah.
an hour. Yeah, man.
And
But,
she's on double, and she's on edibles and drinkables. So
we
Yeah.
got 15 minutes for them to kick in. So
yeah,
we have to get there before then. He's in all these crazy drones flying about all over the place. You've seen those, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Margaret's
what is
friends.
that?
They're the ones from they're the Margaret's friends from the sea that have come up into the skies now. You see,
That's probably what it is.
Gosh, yeah, I haven't even looked into it too much. Remember, like 10 years ago, and you'd see something about aliens, you'd be like, "Oh God, no, let me check this out." Now I just think it's just all bullshit and just clickbait articles because they bullshit about everything. Oh, click here, look, aliens, stuff about aliens. It's like, yeah, it's not really though, is it? When you click on it and actually read it, it's bullshit.
well, it's both Iran and not Iran, and it's both America and not America all at the same time. So it's
Gosh.
aliens and Iran and America.
Any
all at the same
theories?
time.
Any
It's a
theories before we
collaboration.
move on to the news? What's your theory about them? What do you
I
think it
reckon
is?
it's actually aliens trying to discover how weird we all are because we are fucking weird.
Okay, well, you saying, Brian? What's your theory?
Yeah, I would say that this one's kind of weird the way the government's reacting and not coming out and saying it's the classic weather balloon, whatever that would kind of be at this point for trying to dismiss this kind of stuff. I did see that a sheriff, I believe in New Jersey, sent up their own drone. And when they did that, those drones disappeared into thin air, and that was done by a sheriff. And I believe his a deputy or whatever recorded that. So if that is real, then yeah, what is going on?
Damn. What's your thoughts, Margaret? What do you think it is?
So hard to say. I've heard these drones are like really big too. Like they're not small drones. Maybe it's just a distraction from, if we're all paying attention to the drones, we're not paying attention to other things.
I like that theory.
Right?
I like, yeah,
Right?
they're just distracting us. They send a few cheap drones up there, like, oh shit, we let the Epstein client list slip. Quick, send the drones out. We'll send the alien attack.
Yeah.
I like that one. You're onto something there, Margaret. I'm gonna agree with Margaret on that. We're gonna say, but it's just a distraction. What's really going on behind the scenes? Who knows? But yeah, man, let's do it. So we talk about some cannabis news now? Because this is what happens when we look at actual news. We go on random shit like that, as if that's the news. Oh my gosh, let's talk about some cannabis news. Let's go. So I guess that's why they call it the news. That was a Elton John reference there, everybody, in case you didn't get it. Right? I guess that's why they call it the blues. You know what I mean, right?
Oh my God.
That was a good fucking pun, that was. Gosh.
That was
All right, we got to give him some points for that, haven't we?
for the
I know
stuff
it-
he usually is coming with. That was actually pretty good.
I don't know
Yeah,
whether
good
to be
point.
offended or happy about that, Brian. Thank you.
I like that, Brian. That is both a compliment and a dig at the same time.
You know what I mean? Brilliant.
Nice one.
He's a genius. Gosh, but anyway. Right, so this shit, everybody knows who Elton John is. But if you don't, I mean, maybe people like under the age of 20 might not know who he is because he's more like from back in our day. But this guy's a legend, man. He wrote some banging tunes over and over again for like the 70s, the 80s, and 90s. He's a legend. He hasn't done so good since then, in my opinion. But still, you got to give the man credit where it's due. You know what I mean? But this guy, he's come out and he says some nasty things about our favourite plants, everybody. Boo this man. Boo. So I'll read through some of this article here. Legal marijuana, one of North America's greatest mistakes, Elton John says. And it's like, bro, North America's made a lot of mistakes. You sure you want to put this up there as one of the top? Wow.
Yeah.
But, if that's his opinion, he's entitled to it. Just trying to get this fucking article online. Give me a second here. It's not showing on the show notes. Everything was going so smooth until now. There we go. Look at that. Right, so we have legal cannabis, one of North America's greatest mistakes, Elton John says. Musician who has been sober for 34 years says cannabis is addictive and leads to other drugs. We've all heard this one before. It's like they put one of his songs on the jukebox. We've all heard this shit before. Elton John has hit out at the legislation of cannabis in parts of North America, saying it was one of the greatest mistakes of all time. The musician, who brought his touring career to an end last year, as he has been sober for 34 years. No, sorry, Andy has been sober for 34 years. I was thinking then, he was bringing it to an end because he's been sober for 34 years. That's a weird way to end a tour. Well, anyway, says it has helped fellow celebrities, including Eminem and Robbie Williams, recover from addiction. John, who was named Time's Icon of the Year, told the magazine that it is tough to hear how bad your behavior has become and said admitting this helped him get clean. I don't get that. What does that even mean? I'll read that sentence again and see if you can make any sense of it. Or am I just not getting it? John, that's Elton John, who was named Time's Icon of the Year in Times Magazine, right? Told the magazine that it is tough to hear how bad your behavior has become and said admitting this helped him get clean. He must be referring to his days before addiction, right? Is that what he means?
Like how he was hearing about how his behavior was coming across in the media or something?
I assume so. That when he was like getting wasted in his younger
maybe
days,
getting out of
that he
control.
was-
Studio
Yeah.
54. That's what I think he's referring to. Studio 54.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
he said that cannabis was addictive and said it leads to other drugs. And when you're stoned, and I've been stoned, you don't think normally. Legalizing cannabis in America and Canada is one of the greatest mistakes of all time. In a 1999 interview with David Frost, John disclosed that his throat problems midway through an Australian tour in the mid-1980s were caused by marijuana. And
He
said
was probably smoking shit hash
you know what I
then, weren't
mean?
he?
It's like,
yeah,
fuck, man,
prick.
Jesus. It's just so ignorant, this whole opinion of his. Anyway, were caused by marijuana, and said that he had given up using the drug after advice from doctors. In Canada, cannabis has been legal for adults with certain restrictions, including on the amount of people who can possess and distribute since 2018. Many US states, including California, have also legalized cannabis for medical or recreational use, though it remains illegal in others. John also discussed his short fuse, saying he can snap if I'm tired, if I'm exhausted, if I'm overwhelmed. His temper was explored in a 1997 documentary titled Tantrums and Tiaras. But John also credits his ability to create songs quickly to his impatience, saying, "It's really effortless. If I get a lyric and I look at it, the song comes straight out." His husband, David Furnish, that's a strange surname, is putting out a new documentary, Elton John Never Too Late, with fellow director R.G. Cutler, which captures the veteran singer preparing for his final concert in North America at the Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles, where he performed 2 sold-out concerts in 1975. His headline set at Glastonbury last year was his last UK performance as part of the 330-date farewell Yellow Brick Road tour, which he drew to a close with an emotional charged show in Stockholm, Sweden. So yeah, blah 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 blah. This is Elton John, everybody. You all know who he is by now. But goddamn, what do you think about this guy's opinion on cannabis, everybody?
You could probably fuck off.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, shut your mouth. This guy don't... He's been massively famous since the 1970s, which means he's been worth millions for like 50 fucking years, man. He has no idea what it's like to be an ordinary person. You know, rich as fuck. People just want to smoke some weed, man, to chill out after work. They don't have like a fucking jacuzzi in their house to chill in. You know what I mean? I know. I just think it's very ignorant. You know. Sorry, Margaret. You want to say something there?
Yeah, I just feel like just because cannabis didn't work for him doesn't mean that it doesn't work for other
But
people.
it did work for him.
Greatest.
Because he says in the article, right, about how he used it to stop other addictions, and then he was addicted to cannabis. So that's the impression I got from it. So it used him.
He also said it was a gateway drug.
Yeah, to onto harder things. But I don't know. We all know that fucking excuse, don't we? It's ridiculous, man. Alcohol is the real gateway drug,
just
right?
another out of touch celebrity with an opinion that nobody asked for.
That nobody asked for, indeed. And maybe because it says everybody's got this new documentary coming out, it's like maybe this is a little bit of a get his name out there, because nobody knows who he is right now.
Yeah, that's all it probably is, isn't it? I reckon we should ask what Bernie Taupin thinks anyway.
You know, what do you think, Brian? What are you saying here?
I think it's pretty hypocritical for a guy that obviously for probably 5 years or more was snorting coke off of probably male and female anatomy, probably in the open, or at least with the VIPs, would say anything about a drug like cannabis when it comes to something like that. You know, I mean, it's like, to Margaret's point, it's very hypocritical, and to your point, it does seem like he needs press. So let's say some wild ass shit about something that I think most people are starting to realize is comical at best, that it's a dangerous drug. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And the wording of it as well, one of the greatest mistakes in history. It's like, come on, man. Making it illegal is one of the greatest mistakes in history. The complete opposite of what this fool's saying, in my opinion. It's ridiculous. What are you saying, Billy? What do you say about this shit?
Again, it's just like you said, it's another rich person chatting out their ass. Like he said, he was like been doing it since the 70s and 80s. Like he was probably taking cocaine in the late 70s, early 80s with fucking all the other fucking lot in his rock star world, if you know what I mean, and what other people he was hanging around with, because he weren't just like into the music industry, he was mixing with all the others, because obviously being queer, then you mix in different circles. So it's like, boy, it's hypocritical sort of in your old age. And again, it's like he goes on like he's like all I'm Elton John. It's like, well, what about Bernie Taupin, who's co-wrote most of your songs with you. What does he think as well? Like,
Yeah.
'cause he's
And
more like a,
he's big friends with Lady Gaga, right? And
Yeah.
Lady Gaga uses cannabis every day because she has fibromyalgia. Is that I don't think I said it properly. It was close though. You know what I
that's
mean?
close. Yep.
That condition. So she's using cannabis a lot. What does he think about that? Is he telling Lady Gaga that she needs to stop smoking that devil cannabis because it's addictive, or is it helping her with her condition? Just
It's one of the
ignorant.
greatest mistakes of all time, Macky.
Sorry?
So it's one of the greatest mistakes of all time, Macky. So obviously,
Well, he's Elton John. He's near 80 years old. He's worth a fuckload of money, and he's far more successful than I am. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
don't
that's
know.
the case. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong.
Fun
Maybe he
fact,
does know better.
though, he lives in a house like an hour north of where I am. Well, I shouldn't say house. Sorry, that's the wrong word. A massive
A
mansion
mansion. Yeah.
north of where
God
I
damn.
am.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should get up there, Margaret. Try one of these drinks, you miserable bastard. You know?
Oh, fuck, that place is gated right up.
Gosh. But
He
don't get
wrote
me wrong.
songs for Alice Cooper, so he can't really say much, can he?
This is it. The musical talent of this man back in the day. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe because he stopped smoking weed, that's why he's been shit for so long. Because he's not hitting the reefer and he's bitter now.
Well, yeah,
He's bitter.
you know what really helps when you're feeling really angry? It's weed.
Smoke some weed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just, I think it's ridiculously hypocritical as well. You know, this guy has had his time and now he wants to tell everybody else. In fact, not only that they shouldn't do it, but it's one of the biggest mistakes of all time to legalize it. Strange wording. But, you know, legend of a songwriter, you can't take that away from him.
All press is good press when you're trying to sell a documentary.
Exactly, because nobody's going to watch that shit anyway. You know? But watch me do a vocal warm-up exercise for this show
Actually,
in
a lot of
Sweden.
people will probably watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I won't be watching it.
he is a talented musician, so
Mm-hmm.
despite his questionable opinions on certain topics. But
Yeah, what a tool. Next article then. What we got next? And let us know what you think, everybody. What do you think about Elton John's ridiculous opinion of cannabis here? That's a bit tainted than the way I worded that question. What do you think about Elton John's ridiculous opinion? It's like, I shouldn't word it like that. You know, unbiased.
yeah,
What
yeah,
is your
if you're trying to
opinion?
get different, yeah.
Let us know what you think. Right, so do you want to cover your one, Margaret? You want to go on the federal government fails to implement ambitious program one?
Yeah. So the federal government, this is from StratCan, and the federal government fails to implement ambitious, in quotes, program to streamline cannabis pardons by deadline. So the government, or the federal government in Canada, Bill C5 passed in 2022 an act to amend the criminal code and the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, which sought to, among other things, keep convictions for simple drug possessions separate and apart from other convictions. The bill contained an amendment that gave the government 2 years to sequester all simple possession records for cannabis and other drugs across the country. This required harmonizing records across multiple jurisdictions, something the federal government has repeatedly highlighted as a challenge. This means those charges would no longer show up on criminal background checks. There was a November deadline for that process, which the federal government was, unsurprisingly, unable to meet. I'm not sure how to say that last name, and I'm going to refrain from doing so lest I insult.
Boo! That's not how we roll, Margaret. Come on.
Well, I'm
Come on.
uncertain. So
Even if you
Maria is-
butchered it so bad, it would be nowhere near as bad as some of the ones I have butchered.
That's fair. Maybe Anna Nahor. It could be a
Anna
Latin sounding name. perhaps.
Ananajaw, right?
Anna Nahor. A
See,
criminal
that was
defense
fine.
lawyer.
Brilliant.
A criminal defense lawyer and former director of the advocacy group Cannabis Amnesty told CBC News that she isn't surprised that the ambitious deadline was not met, given the challenges of coordinating such a move across the country. You can't just press Control Alt Delete and have them all disappear, she told the CBC. The program is very ambitious, given how many levels of government are involved in the collection and preservation of records, she added. There would have to be a coordinated effort on the part of the federal government to work with provincial governments and various law enforcement entities around the country, and I just haven't seen that happening. The amendment sought to address one of the challenges the federal government has faced in clearing people's records for simple cannabis possession charges. 5 years since the Liberals' cannabis pardon program was launched, the Parole Board of Canada says only 845 pardons for cannabis possession have been granted. NDP MP Randall Garrison, who introduced the amendment adopted into the bill to sequester those possession records, has noted in the past that the amount of bureaucracy required to implement such a change is a complicated one that he did not expect the government to be able to meet. Conservatives, meanwhile, have been calling on the government to reverse Bill C-5 entirely, which they have argued is soft on crime. While the Liberals passed legislation that allowed for pardons for low-level cannabis charges, the NDP has repeatedly called for further regulatory change that would automatically wipe such records clean. The process behind such a proposal requires significant logistical changes to Canada's criminal code record-keeping system, although a program that would do just that has been tabled in the Senate several times. The NDP also presented a private members bill in late 2018, C-415, which would have called for a process where expungement requests were reviewed by the Parole Board of Canada. Well, Bill C-93, there's a lot of bills involved in this, partially addressed some of the issues for those cannabis possession charges by removing the $631 fee and a 10-year wait time. It still means many hurdles for those applying, namely the cost of fingerprinting and seeking out those records. This is because Canada's archaic, outdated record-keeping method, where there is no single online database for all criminal charges, meaning that many arrest records are kept in courthouses with police record keepers in the jurisdictions where the charges were originally laid. This outdated paperborne or paper-based system, as well as the nature of how cannabis possession charges are recorded only as generic drug charges, was also part of why C-93 didn't offer automatic record expungements for cannabis charges. In October, just a month before the deadline, Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc issued a ministerial directive instructing the RCMP not to disclose simple possession offenses when completing background checks unless otherwise required by law. So there you have it. Bureaucracy.
I don't think I understood much of that.
No. Well, I mean, I think they wanted to make it so that they were getting rid of all these like records for minor drug charges, but one, they're saying that cannabis charge, like they don't charge people with cannabis related crimes. It's like it's just a drug crime. So those minor possession charges could be for cannabis, they could be for meth, they could be for whatever. So they're saying that's one of the problems. And then a lot of those records are kept in all kinds of different places. They're not like one centralized database where all these records are kept. So it's not as easy as just like, let's just erase them all. Does that make more sense?
Nope.
Okay.
Is this in
Anybody
Canada or
else?
is it in the USA?
No, this is in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it doesn't make sense. Because I'm not used to the way Canada's law works. You know, I thought this was going to be federal government style.
It is federal. But like
Yeah, but I thought US federal. Sorry.
A lot of this stuff is handled by the provinces, and then there's municipalities and all that stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about this, Billy? Yeah, were you there?
I suppose as long as they're getting rid of drug convictions and things like that, it's okay. But it's just, to me, again, it's just weird shit, government shit, which they probably don't have to do apart from just legalize it all.
And I guess the one question I'm curious to ask you guys too is like the Conservatives have been saying that they want to reverse this bill entirely because they're arguing that it's soft on crime.
Right.
Which
it's
obviously
ridiculous.
I don't agree with. But
Yeah, we won't. That's why I should just remove it as a crime, and then they won't be soft on crime because there's no crime.
Yeah, that's right. Get rid of it altogether. It wouldn't be a crime anymore.
Well, I mean, like cannabis is legal, so there are no new charges happening. These are for like possession records that have already happened, right? So, but they're saying if you come out and get rid of all these records, the Conservatives are saying, well, that's soft on crime. But it's
how does that even make sense?
I know.
It's like it's already been done, so you know it's not like you're soft on future crime. So what even are they talking about? It's strange the way obviously there must be some kind of a monetary agenda in the background here for some of these guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Why would you want it any other way? It makes no sense. It's not even going to make a difference. We're talking about convictions that are already over and expunging them. How's that soft on crime? Because it's not a crime. Because
Maybe if they're looking at it from the perspective that it's like it could be all minor drug convictions, because I guess they were saying it's hard to differentiate between minor cannabis convictions of the past and like,
right. Hmm.
if you get picked up with, I don't know a little bit of meth or something like that.
Yeah, but does it matter? As long as you weren't violent, then you're entitled to do what drugs you freaking want, even if it is meth
Right.
or
And
heroin.
a lot of
It's
people
like,
would
then,
argue criminalizing drug users is probably not the way to
yeah, it's not the way to go,
stop
Yeah.
is it?
them.
From what we've seen
Yeah.
so far, it's definitely not the way to go. It doesn't seem
Right.
to be working.
No.
I don't know. It's
No,
not
it doesn't
sexist,
stop
sure.
anybody, that's for sure. We all know
Mhm.
prohibition doesn't work. It doesn't really matter what kind of drug it is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't know. Elton John seems to know what he's talking about. Don't want to legalize anything else, do we? No.
Which is funny coming from him because he's probably done a significant amount more drugs than
Hmm.
any of us here at a
Yes.
certain point in his life. But
What are you saying, Brian? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's more just bureaucracy that I guess on the back end will somehow create more money to try to make confusion out of some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, you were saying it's minor crimes only, right?
yeah,
Minor.
yeah.
So that I think I've been in trouble a decent amount of time in my life, and to be honest, the minor crime, the people that have ever gotten a minor crime, that stuff probably should be expunged compared to a lot of the other stuff that's out there that is expunged. So this makes
Yep.
no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, just
If it was
bureaucracy.
felonies, and the other side, the conservatives were saying that that's being soft on crime, maybe that
Yeah.
would be more of an argument. But it would have to, even to Billy's point, it would need to be a violent crime, like you stole somebody's quarter pound of weed with a
Mm-hmm.
gun.
Mm-hmm.
So now, all
Right.
right, maybe that not that gentleman, but the guy that was growing a little weed for his kids in his basement that his ex-girlfriend told on him and got busted. I think those kind of things need to be expunged, especially in 2024 and 2025.
Right. When we've had legalization for 6 years too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that person should be able to get a job without that felony, where it basically almost. I don't know how it is where you guys are, but in America, for the most part, once somebody hears that you're a felon, they're not really listening to any other part of that job interview.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Stupid is just for a little bit of weed, man. Just for a little bit of, whatever drug it is. If it's for personal use, they got no right to say anything. Fuck them. But anyway, that's a completely different story altogether. The whole discussion about whether all drugs should be legalized is a difficult one to have, man. I mean, we all know cannabis should be legalized, but when it comes to harsher drugs that could potentially cause problems, but I don't know.
Although, well, legalization's one thing, but decrim might be another. That's what
Yeah,
Portugal did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Always point to Portugal, of course, as the example, but I don't
Well,
think they're sky-high.
I just think we need safety for the consumer, and when it's properly legalized and regulated, and that's all drugs, then it's safer for the consumer. Education is key as well, But yeah, it's a long discussion, which I do enjoy. Maybe we'll do that next week on the Christmas special. We just chat some random shit. Let's do that. But the next one, let's go. Let's not spoil the Christmas special next week. I'm gonna tell people about having a Christmas special just yet. What are you saying, Brian? I didn't say anything. Brian,
Are you asking me about Margaret's or my article?
No, about your article. What were we saying about what the NFL is doing now?
Yeah, and the one thing I want to, I guess, so Denver, Colorado, obviously was at the forefront of cannabis legalization. The Broncos stadium name comes up where it's a bidding war. Anybody that wants to get it supposedly can get it. A cannabis company won that bidding war. And then the NFL said, no, we're not promoting cannabis whatsoever, which I've never honestly seen the NFL go against. But I would imagine it was going to conflict with a lot of the alcohol lobbyist type viewpoints and that kind of stuff. So even though cannabis is almost, I mean, it's celebrated in parts of this town, in the NFL, usually it's frowned upon because it's still looked upon as like this, only losers smoke cannabis kind of thing. A sports, why would some kind of high-end athlete need cannabis in their life? All right, so the National Football League has reached an agreement with its players' union to further reform its marijuana policies, significantly reducing fines for positive tests while increasing the allowable THC threshold for players. About 4 years after NFL ended the practice of suspending players over cannabis or other drugs as part of a collective bargaining agreement, the league has again revised its substance of abuse policy and performance enhancing substances policy as the state level legalization movement continues to expand. Effective Friday, the THC limit constituting a positive drug test will increase from 150 nanograms per milliliter to 350 nanograms per milliliter, the NFL Players Association said in a summary of the changes.
I wonder what that means. You got any idea of like what's the intoxication levels between those two? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's obviously when they're doing it at that level, that's I believe that's all. The only way to do that is through blood tests and that kind of stuff. Which obviously cannabis is staying in your system a little bit longer, especially if you're probably a
big guys
football.
As well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but at the same time, man, these guys are. I don't know how much you guys know about the NFL, but it is a brutal sport, and a lot of them play through excruciating pain. Some of them have even become famous, like dislocating a shoulder, going in, making a play, dislocating the shoulder again, coming out, popping it back in. I mean, these guys are on high level of pain tolerance, and a lot of them prefer to smoke cannabis. All right, so the penalty for a first offense will be reduced to a $15,000 fine, down from a half-game fine. A second offense will be lowered to $20,000. For a third positive test, players will lose a full game pay, and for a fourth, it will be a 2-game fine. Penalties for missed tests will also be reduced, as NBC Pro Football Talk first reported. Notably, the league also agreed to make it so players' individual teams will only be generally notified about positive or missed tests without disclosure of the specific substance that showed up on the test. The revised policy additionally says the positive test will no longer be conducted cumulatively. Players' positive test counts will now reset after a year.
Yeah.
This bill, yeah, right? So it's like, I'm sure like New Year's Eve, he's like, fuck it, I got one. This builds upon NFL. I mean, 15 grand to a decent, well-known poker.
Yeah, it's nothing. That's why it's been. It's like instead of half a game's pay, we've dropped it down to $15,000. It's like, fuck. How much are they getting paid per game? Gosh. Yeah, millions, man. Crazy money.
Yeah, the big guys make a lot. Oh my! What the hell just happened here?
Oh, what happened?
My phone froze.
It's the Chinese, bro. They've hacked you. They're coming for you, bro.
What the fuck? All right, let me see. Okay.
Alien drone out overhead. Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
The systems are jamming.
Notably, the league also agreed to make it so players' individual team. Oh, I read that part, didn't I? This builds upon NFL's 2020 rule change for cannabis and other drugs. That included narrowing the test window for marijuana. Players are only subject to testing for THC metabolites between the start of the preseason training session and the first preseason game. The threshold for a positive test for cannabis was also increased at the time from the previous 35 nanograms per milliliter. Meanwhile, NFL and the Denver Broncos in July asked a federal court to reject a player's lawsuit alleging discrimination over penalties he incurred due to positive THC tests from his prescribed use of a synthetic cannabinoid. You know, that was something I also saw a lot of, is that the professional athletes for a while were smoking K2 until they realized that shit is probably worse than crack. In a joint motion to dismiss filed with the U.S. District Court for the District of Colorado, the league and team defended their marijuana policy for players, affirming it's their view that the use of cannabis can lead to on-field injuries, poor job performance, and alienation of the fans. I don't really see that in this town, but all right. They said the league's policies contain detailed requirements and protocols for the testing all players and makes clear that the use of substances prohibited under the policy, including specifically THC, can lead to on-the-field injuries, to the alienation of fans, and dismiss job performance. I said that twice or something.
It's because the article says it twice. Weird.
Yeah, that is weird. So, and then it gets into CBD. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know how deep y'all want to go into this, but I just saw the hypocrisy of, in this town, it seems like even the housewives, the little old ladies, they all know that cannabis isn't that big of a deal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, the ones that are funded, the big brands that are funded by the alcohol brands, so Bud Light, you see that all over the Denver Broncos stadium. They're the ones that constantly kind of say that stuff.
It's
so
probably
it also
down to
makes me
shareholders, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
the shareholders probably a little bit more ignorant towards the cannabis laws and think, oh no, cannabis give you fucking schizophrenia and all that bullshit. And it makes them slow. We don't want our players being slow on the field. So if a certain team is allowed to use cannabis, then it's going to be like, oh, we're not going to put money into that. They're all fucking stoners. They're not as quick as the other guys because they use cannabis. I think that's going to be part of it, keeping the shareholders happy.
Wouldn't also, like when they're saying that THC can lead to on the field injuries, alienation of the fans, and diminished job performance as an NFL player, wouldn't like Percocets lead to that even more? Because aren't a lot of them using those types of drugs because they are sustaining so many like injuries and it's so hard on the body?
And
So
they
hard
don't
on the
mention
liver.
about like the alienation of the fans who consume cannabis. You know what I mean? That's who you're alienating by not allowing cannabis. You know what I mean? And any way you can fix alienation, you get one of the players who does smoke weed to go out there and smoke a joint with some of the people, man. And then the alienation is over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cannabis brings people together, man. And that's all it should be useful. Fuck.
I don't even think cannabis is really talked about much during the games. Like if it wasn't for articles like this, like where does it even really become an issue?
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't think people were getting fined over it either, though. You know, I think they will just because they seem really lenient with this shit. And then how often are they even going to be drug tested? A couple of times a year? I don't
The
know.
preseason, because they know people. I mean, it's like when the NBA was supposedly drug testing for cannabis. It's like every single player smokes cannabis in the NBA. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
They even
And
do
like
it
you
on
said-
Instagram and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of them like to use cannabis in lieu of other painkillers and pain modalities, I guess. For obvious reasons.
You know, when you're worth millions, 15,000, it's nothing, is it? It's like, you know, you be fucking smoking a joint at the drug test with the 15 grand in your hand, like, here, just take this, bro.
Yeah, I'll just pay it. Don't
You
even
know.
bother test.
But steps
What gets
forward.
me is I just say that they go on about all the performance enhancing drugs test, and it's like, but they say cannabis is bad for you, so it's not performance enhancing. So why does it matter if it's on the? If you get what I mean?
But
It's
it's
just
like
odd.
shareholders, isn't it? It's the shareholders of the
Yeah.
teams, the owners of the
It's just-
clubs.
It's just all bullshit.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. It's all about the money. But
Yep.
they're heading in the right direction still. You know, making it more, making it easier for people to consume cannabis. I think it's going to keep heading in that direction before there's like no restrictions, all, and it's a player's individual choice. You know.
Yeah,
Like
because I also thought the NFL was funding a study at a Canadian university to look at, I forget what exactly, because it was a story we did a long time ago, but
it's that word for CTE or something, and it traumatic brain injury.
right, like
What
the
CTE. There's some word for
CTE.
it.
I forget what it stands for, but it's the head trauma that a lot of players experience. But they were doing studies
from
with that,
numerous concussions over and over again, and we're seeing if
Yeah.
cannabis could help work with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I wonder what's happening there. We haven't heard anything about that. When I did a search for all the news articles today, it was just all busts and Elton John. So it was difficult to find anything. Maybe we should look into that and try and pull up an article for next time. That'd be interesting to see how that study's going. It's probably been cancelled. You know, oh no, it definitely helps. We need to make sure this information doesn't get out. You know. Right, what we got next, Billy? You got a news article here for us from California, right?
Yeah, this is about a California lawmaker who's been questioned with a cannabis corruption investigation.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
dun, dun.
I know. Dun, dun, dun. It's surprising that, isn't it? Hey. So, a recently unsealed plea agreement suggests that Senator Susan Rubio was part of a sprawling cannabis bribery scheme when she served on the Baldwin City Park Council in 2018. Rubio denies wrongdoing, as they do. Rubio said she talked to federal authorities and was told that she is not a target of their investigation into a plot in which officials allegedly took bribes for their permits to operate cannabis businesses.
You know, but LA Times just will report on it anyway, you know?
Yeah. Documents made public by the U.S. Attorney's Office last week allege that the public's official who fits the profile of State Senator Susan Rubio was part of the sprawling cannabis bribery scheme when she was served on the Baldwin Park Council and in the office in 2018. So a Democrat, Rubio, said through a spokesman that she had no reason to believe that she would be included in any criminal allegations. The documents do not name Rubio, but they describe a public official who fits her profile. Someone was in position to determine the attorney decisions between 2017 and 2018 and was running for a state office through November 2018. Rubio is the only Baldwin Park official whose experience matches those criteria. She's
Fucking hell,
so,
you know,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a bit targeted, you know. It's like, this. Yeah. How many people could that be? I don't even know. I'm sure it's not many. Ah.
So the information was revealed in a plea agreement in which former Baldwin Park City Attorney Robert Tafoya admitted his role in the cannabis bribery scheme and agreed to cooperate in ongoing public corruption investigations. So Edgar Cisneros, the former city manager of commerce, also pleaded guilty in the plot in which local officials allegedly took bribes to hand out permits for cannabis businesses.
Boo, we didn't see that coming, did we? Who would have expected that?
That's two of them. Two of them have already stated that they're corrupt, been bribed. Yep. Thick envelopes being passed. We've never discussed that before about this sort of thing.
No. Yeah. It's a very rare occasion for politicians to be handed large sums of cash in return for some favors, aka bribery.
Yeah. Well, how would you know? You're never been a politician, Macky.
That's right. Yeah. Margaret has, though. What are you saying, Margaret? What are you saying about these envelopes?
Yeah, how big was your envelope?
I actually had a failed run at municipal politics a long time ago, so
no envelopes then.
Comment. Yep.
It's worth trying again. I hear those envelopes are juicy.
I guess I'm missing out.
Allegedly.
Sorry.
Allegedly. Sorry. Yeah. Right. So, but according to his unsealed plea agreement, Tafoya alleges that the unnamed Baldwin Park official requested 30 grand in cash payments to later be funneled into their state campaign account through straw donors.
Fucking hell. Dodgy bastards.
The candidate allegedly wanted these small donations to demonstrate to other donors her broad support in the community.
Wow. Sorry, I'm just making lots of noises in the background here. Sorry, Billy. It's just so fucking politician-y, isn't it? It's like, we need this money given to us in small amounts. Yeah, this is how they roll. And these people, this is the only one we know about, you know, allegedly. You know, it's not been confirmed yet, but these are the ones we know about. Imagine there's loads out there in power right now that have been through this same process, crooked motherfuckers bribing people to get in positions of power, and you have to ask yourself why. You know what I mean? Why do these people want to get up there? Because they want to change laws that fit their fucking benefits. That's why these crooks. Sorry, Billy. Just saying. So in exchange for the money, Tafoya alleges the candidate agrees to use their powers as a state elected official to protect their jobs and assist him financially. So the plea agreement describes that his meeting with the unnamed Baldwin Park official in 2017 and providing the first £15,000 payment in a cash envelope. Yep, nice big brown thick one. A second cash payment on the same amount came after the unnamed official won her primary in June 2018, the document says. Campaign finance reports show two contributions totaling $2,600. A law firm has mentioned that in the plea agreement, and Rubio's campaign in August and October 2018. So Rubio's obviously didn't answer
the times when they questioned the name about it. So they apparently made the allegations against numerous individuals in order to reduce his own sentence. So that's normal though. You're starting to squeal, but he probably telling the truth though, if you know what I mean. Because he's got more to lose if he's found out to be lying again, isn't he? So, so they said the officials found rude, but they should not target the government's investigation. They added that Villa volunteered hours of her time aiding the authorities in the investigation. Blah 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 blah.
Oh, it wasn't me.
Blah,
Yeah, I'll answer any
blah,
question.
blah.
Allegedly. Ah, don't want to get sued now, Billy. You know.
Yeah. So this article goes on and on and on and on and on and on. But
This article's longer than her prison sentence is gonna be.
yeah, basically, yeah, that's what it's gonna be. And I ain't gonna read that out because it's unfair on me doing more time than what she's gonna do.
Yeah, you know, fuck, you know, it's fuck, man.
Bastards.
But this is it. This is just how politicians roll, man. They're all the same. They all. No, I can't say all of them. That would be very unfair to say all of them. You know, there are going to be some people out there who are trying to make a difference. But all the big fish, the guys at the top there, they're all corrupt. All corrupt.
No bribery and corruption around here. Like wink,
Mm-hmm.
wink, nudge, nudge. Brown envelopes.
Brown envelope. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? You know, one of those nice lemon meringue pies from the warden's wife. You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption. That sounded real rude then. I was surprised you didn't grab that, Ebony. Fuck.
Yeah, a bit more apple pie. Nice
that's not-
creamy apple pie, yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. All right, so we have another article. One more, right? I think there's just one more left. The older Australians. This one. The older Australians turning to cannabis as cigarette prices rise. We've got a couple of Australians in the chat there. If you don't mind, would you be able to post how much, say, a box of 20 cigarettes is over in Australia?
How much is it in the UK?
I don't even know. Billy, you got any idea?
No, but they're only going to post it how much it is in Australian dollars, which is going to be like
About £3.
nothing. Yeah, about £3, mate. It's
Okay,
like,
well,
yeah.
No, drop it in
Canada-
chat, everybody. Let's see. Everybody in
it's
chat.
monopoly money.
How much is 20 bucks of
Yeah,
cigarettes where you are?
In
Google it.
Canada, they're around $20. I mean, the better brands might be around $20. So in American dollars, that might be like 25. I don't know, 20 to
Damn.
25 bucks best, depending on which brand you're buying.
Jeff Papilia says 35.
Ooh,
What
this-
currency is that? We don't know where you are, bro.
Right.
Yeah, that might be Australia, all right? I think Jeff might be in Australia. Not too sure. 18 quid here. Quid means UK British pounds. So that's going to be £18 for 20 cigarettes in the UK. A pack of smokes for 20 from Sir Smokes a Lot. It's probably about £15 for 20, but I buy rolling these days from Wolfie. Yeah, a ridiculous amount of money, man. And this is why people smoke less and they go to vapes now instead. We've discussed this. You know, people would tend to be vaping because that's considerably cheaper than
I don't know if it is in the
tobacco
long
products.
run. You know that? Because
Yeah.
people, I used to vape too to quit, and then I just vaped all the fucking time. Because you didn't have to go outside, it didn't smell. You just had your vape on your, right next to you. And
Yeah.
I've seen that with a lot of other people. They just vape way more.
Because
So I
you don't
don't
have to
know if
pay
that-
attention to them as well. You know, when you've got a lit cigarette, you need to pay attention to that because if you put it down somewhere, you could burn yourself, burn something
Burn
else.
your
So
house
you
down.
can't, you have to kind of pay
it
attention to a
stinks.
lit cigarette, and it stinks.
And it really smells
Yeah.
so bad. So you have, a lot of people will go outside and stuff.
Fuck!
Or not.
Cookie Grow there
Fuck.
said, "Sorry, Margaret, at a petrol station, $53 for a pack. What the fuck?"
Yeah, I just I just googled some Google shit.
Okay, what you
right,
got on
and
from the Googs there?
The Goog says it's about 40 Australian dollars for. They're bringing out a new tax as well. So
Oh
basically,
my god!
yeah. So it's going to be like $40 for cigarettes, which is about 20 UK pounds.
Yeah, so about the same price then.
So yeah, more expensive. But
Every
yeah,
day.
But like you
Because
said,
people
if you
smoke
go
20 a
to-
day, don't they? Usually.
Go to shitty places, like they're going to add on them extra dollars, mate. So yeah,
20 a day is a lot of
talking
cigarettes.
A lot of money.
Just
so yeah,
gonna say. It is a
that
lot
is-
of cigarettes.
that's 2 grams of weed in the UK.
Mm.
So,
Anyway, yeah. So we're just chatting some shit here, but important. We know it's good to know what the fucking prices of these things are out there. God damn, ridiculous. But here in Australia, apparently I say here in Australia. I'm not in Australia right now, everybody. Or maybe I am, and I've just been throwing you off this whole time. But some people suspect Australian from the accent, apparently. But anyway, new research from Curtin University has revealed increasing cigarette prices over the past several years have seen more older Australians turn to cannabis use as an alternative. Researchers from Curtin School of Accounting, Economics and Finance investigated the buying habits of nearly 100,000 Australians from 2001 to 2019. That's a long time, though, isn't it? Fucking hell, 100,000 people over 20 years. By analysing data from the Australian National Drug Strategy Household Survey. Gosh, there's some title there. The team found when cigarette prices increased, cannabis use decreased in Australians under 40 years of age, with no change for people between 40 and 50. However, it shows cannabis use increased among people aged over 50 when cigarette prices rose. Study author John Curtin Distinguished Professor Mark Harris said the results were surprising because cannabis and tobacco are generally consumed as a bundle. In economic terms, if they're consumed together and it becomes more expensive to buy tobacco, you'd expect cannabis consumption to also fall, Professor Harris said. But what we found is the relationship between the drugs and the way people use them potentially changes with age of the consumer. Cannabis can change from a complement of tobacco to a replacement. Interesting. The guys out in Australia must also use tobacco with their joints as well, then, or roll spliffs, right? It seems that way. But it makes you wonder. I mean, coming up to the age of 50, all the way up to 60, then there's no change. But after 60, I think those guys are using cannabis more for medical use at that point. I would think so. But I don't know. You just get to the age of 60 and you start using more weed.
Oh, I find it's interesting that it's only among people, like predominantly on people under or over 50.
Yeah. Where was we with this? As part of the study, so as part of the study, researchers ran a simulation, I like those, of what would happen if tobacco prices rose by 10% through higher taxes or other means. They found 68,000 people aged over 50 would start using cannabis in response, whether increasing existing cannabis use or opting to try cannabis for the first time as a tobacco substitute. Like some kind of protest. Fuck you, we're all going to smoke weed instead. Co-study author Dr. Ranjot Singh said applying consumer behavior research could help create effective health promotion strategies. In economics, we have this idea that people behave rationally, that we act according to price, Dr. Singh said. But different segments of the population will respond differently to price increases. That's why we use the term life cycle approach when looking at consumption. So on average, increasing tobacco prices makes cannabis use go down, but the opposite is true for the particular age group. Dr. Singh said the findings could help shape future health policies and messaging. This shows applying blanket policies for everyone may not be the best way to improve outcomes across all demographics, Dr. Singh said. This study was concerned in collaboration with RMIT University, Dr. Preeti Srivastava. Oh, that was the end. Yeah, no, I sort of pronounced that as if there was more sentence coming, and there wasn't. That was it. It's an interesting story, man. And people, what we're saying, it was like $40, $45 Australian dollars for 20 cigarettes, which in the UK here we have rolling tobacco too, which is like a pouch of tobacco you'd buy, and that's just a little bit cheaper than a 20 box of cigarettes. Say 30 grams is cheaper than a 20 box of cigarettes, or maybe around the same price. Yes, they are. So that's 20 grams of tobacco equivalent would be around $40. So I mean, that's like half the price of cannabis essentially, right? Because you could probably get 7 to 10 grams of cannabis for what, $100 over in Australia. That seems about right, between $80 and $100. So I don't know. the price is kind of getting there. You know what I mean? Imagine if tobacco becomes the same price as cannabis. That would be crazy, man. Damn.
Yeah, and a very different outcome if you smoke them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one's much tastier than the other.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting article here to see that even though cannabis is still illegal for recreational use in Australia, the use is going up, especially amongst older people, which you would think was the opposite way round. You know, you think the older people have been brainwashed for the longest with all the reefer madness, so they're the guys who are just who.
Well, maybe they've also realized how much it helps them for all their ailments.
Mm-mm.
If you're gonna give up one, you're gonna give up the tobacco because it's, you
Mhm.
benefit more from using cannabis, but
Very true.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they've been smoking cannabis and tobacco all this time, but then quit, because that's what I did. I quit smoking tobacco, but I still use cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of other people who do that. Interesting. What do you think the cause of this, Billy? What do you think?
Well, like I say, I think it's just a mixture of like the prices and shit like that, if you know what I mean. Plus, people are becoming more health conscious, aren't they, towards cigarettes as well?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the cancer stuff is becoming a lot more sort of known and prevalent. Also, cigarettes is really, we're like the last generation, really, if you know what I mean. Like the people 30 and under, as such, ain't really, they're more vaping and shit
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that's going to be a part of it as well, isn't it? They're just not new tobacco users are in it. So
Yeah.
that with the prices on top, no one can afford to smoke anymore. So even the people who have been dedicated to it for years just can't afford to do it no more. And they're choosing again a more healthy alternative because they're giving up alcohol as well. So you're giving up both and you're still going to need something. Then, well, you're smoking your alcohol, aren't you? So cannabis. So it's
Yeah, just a replacement.
yes, replacement of both. That's why
But it's
obviously they don't like
it's
it.
the healthier alternative out of all of them, I
Yeah,
think. But maybe I'm a little bit
totally.
biased, but you know.
No, but that's because it is a healthy alternative out of three. So that's why they don't like it, the two industries, because they know it is, and it replaces both of them because you're smoking and getting high, which is what you're doing when you're drinking and smoking. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not drinking and smoking no more. You're just getting high off weed.
What are you saying, Brian? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think the older generation is starting to realize that they've been lied to, like the boomers and up, and that cannabis doesn't necessarily lead to, oh my God, now I want to do heroin. And I think a
You know
lot
what I
of
mean?
people viewed it that way, or at least, I mean, my own mother was so against me smoking cannabis for the longest time, especially when I was in high school and college. And then I think in college, figured out that I was selling weed. So I was the pariah of the family for a while, like
You know.
just a ridiculous kind of. And then she
You would have thought
visited
she would have been
maybe.
proud, man. He's running his own business, you know.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur,
He's an
man.
entrepreneur already.
But I think, so 3 years ago she came to Colorado. She smoked cannabis, and I think her viewpoint and her worldview has changed. And I think a lot of people in
Nice.
her age demographic feel that same way, where it's a little bit silly to chastise I was talking about this with my mom, that it was a little bit silly to chastise me back in the day about some of those things, because our neighbor, who my mom thought was like an angel, actually had huge meth parties that she didn't know about. And
Damn.
I was at this kid's house one time, and somebody stole one of the dude's meth, and he came out with a machete, and he was fucking wielding it around in the living room. And my mom thought that guy was an angel. So that's what I'm trying to say, is like, sometimes I don't
Wow.
think parents realize what drugs do
Hey,
and
man.
what things
He
really
had
affect.
every right to protect his property, you know.
Bro, looking back on some of that stuff, it's like, I mean, I've seen two crazy chicks smoking crack out of a broken light bulb. I thought that was pretty like low bottom,
Wow.
like what the fuck am I doing here, kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways that children can kind of lose sight of things, and I don't think, for the most part, cannabis is one of them. And I kind of view cannabis in the same way. Like if cannabis takes you down, you're kind of in my opinion, maybe a weaker person. Like cannabis makes you lazy and you don't have, you're lethargic and all you want to do is just escape, then maybe cannabis isn't for you. I personally like to use it because I was always prescribed Adderall, Dexedrine, those kind of like more like synthetic drugs. And I have personally found that just being stoned, I'm able to study more and have a better lifestyle than constantly taking a pill to kind of feel that same way.
You know, it should be the first medicine everybody turns to. The first. Then if you need more after that, then yeah, go check out other things, but damn. And I mean like prescription meds. Sorry, Margaret.
I was just going to agree that I think a lot of older people are becoming like more aware of the fact that they've been lied to about a lot of that stuff, and they're changing their opinion. Everybody except, as we know, Elton John. But
yeah, boo, Elton John, boo this man, boo,
Boo.
You know, I'm burning all my Elton John albums after the show. Everybody, join me. I'm not really, because I don't have any.
I was gonna say,
You know? But if I did, I'll be burning them.
That 8-track would be smashed.
That's right. Can you feel the love, motherfucker? Pow! Next, right. Let's talk about. We just got a few pieces of forum news here until we move on to the smoke break. We have the Grow the Quarter entries is open. This is something Turbo runs over at the forum. And, you know, come and show off your grow over. You just enter the thread, and we do it every 3 months, you know, because there's 4 quarters in a year. So we do it every 3 months, a new one opens. So the fresh one has opened. If you want to come and show off your grow room, see if you can win some prizes for having the best grow in the quarter, then yeah, come do that. We also have a new section over on Percy'sGrowroom.com called the Full Grow Diary section. We have this section called the Completed Diaries, which is good. Got loads of good diaries in there, but when it's completed, it's a plant got to harvest. But it might have started in flower, might have started a few weeks through veg. So I thought we needed a new section called Full Grow Diaries. And these grow diaries are from lots of different breeders, lots of different strains, in lots of different mediums. But they start at seed or cutting, and they are updated weekly with pictures and, you know, lots of good information. And then they finish at harvest with a smoke report on the end as well. So you get loads of information about loads of different strains from this specific section. So I thought it was a good idea to throw that together. And a big shout out to everybody out there who's been helping find diaries that are applicable for it as well. But nice section. It's coming on nicely. There's like 40 diaries over there now, which in the Full Grow Diary section. Out of the, I don't know, we've got over 1,000 over on Percy's. We have lots. But yes, good section. Check it out. And next week we'll do a special Christmas session, I think. I mean, we might talk about news, but we'll see what happens. We're just going to chill. We're just going to relax and chat some shit. Drink some wine, maybe. I don't know. That's what people do at Christmas time. So we just have a Christmassy session next week, everybody. Come and join us. And we'll talk about Christmas movies and Christmas music. And we can rant about things and shit. You know, just a laid-back session. There's a staff party. That's what we'll do. Yeah, sounds good, right? Sounds good, yes. Any other news to add here? Margaret, do you have anything to add from your side?
No, I don't think so. Just if you like making edibles, check out Bite Me, the show about edibles.
Yeah. And subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. That's right. What are you saying, Brian? Any news on your side, mate?
Well, I guess we have a show on Fridays now that we've been doing, and you're a guest in 2 weeks. So I just wanted to highlight that to your audience.
Sorry.
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks.
So, yeah, that's on the 29th, right?
Or 27th.
Right.
Is it Friday?
Okay.
2 Fridays from now. Whatever
Just
that
remind
is.
you when we get closer, bro, so I don't forget.
The 27th, for those listening who want to put that in their calendar right now, that is Friday, December 20. Oh, wait a second. Is it before or after Christmas?
It's after Christmas. I think it's the 27th.
Yes.
Yeah, Friday the 27th. That's patron night as well.
That's right, it is, because I'm doing the Patreon session and then doing the session with you guys after the Patreon session. That's right. Yeah, man.
Wow, you'll be all ready. You'll have your warm-up band. Everything's
Yeah,
ready.
that's right. I'm going to be mashed. Yeah. Gonna be good, man. Looking forward to it. Thanks for the invite. And just where can everybody find that again?
It's MI Beneficial. So the guy that you guys usually hear me highlighting that I personally like to promote because he's doing it, you know, he's a family man. He's basically a one-man band with 2 kids. His company name is MI Beneficials. He started a YouTube channel a couple of years ago, and then OK Calix has come on board, and myself. So on Friday nights, we talk about a lot of things that are more like microbial. It's called bioactive, and we want to talk to you about the homegrown aspect, especially from UK, because in our opinion, I think growing with the microbial world really is the future for people that want to learn how to grow for pennies on the dollar and not be so constrained with what we used to call the golden handcuffs, where you never want to change any recipes or anything because it seems to be working. But how are you gonna taste the good terps, man?
Yeah, in a vaporizer. Jesus, vapes are so tasty. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the news. Don't forget to check out the show in a couple of weeks with Brian. We will try and work some conspiracy theories in there.
Yeah.
You know,
There we go.
well, we need a conspiracy show as well. We haven't done that for a while. But let's go to the smoke break and talk about that. Let's do that. Here we go. Smoke break. Yeah, we haven't spoke conspiracies for ages, apart from at the start of the show there where we were talking about drones and stuff. You know.
Yeah, and Elon Musk. I have never seen Margaret get more animated before. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's everybody's got their own opinions about this guy. It's interesting.
He's
Yeah,
polarizing.
I think, to be fair, I think there is a lot of misinformation about what he's trying to do. But I also get where Margaret's coming from as well. I don't feel like he's always been the philanthropist type person that he's trying to portray now.
Let's do a poll in YouTube. That'll be fun. Let's see what everybody thinks.
Margaret, I don't know if you know who, like Peter Thiel and Larry Fink.
Yeah.
I mean, those are
I don't know who
more.
Fink, but Peter Thiel.
I personally, this is my opinion, would say that those are more of the people that I would think are where your anger should be like forced at, because they're the ones that are actually raising the home prices, going after small business, Vanguard, BlackRock, all that stuff is actually, to me, creepier than Elon Musk.
Yeah, Peter Thiel's real
George
character.
Soros.
All those guys are a little, it's almost like what happens when you make that much money? They like sit you down in a room, right? All right, now you have to be really fucking weird. It's like,
I just
I think
dropped a
that's
poll out
exactly what
there.
happened.
We have Elon Musk, good guy or potential Lex Luthor. Good guy or Lex Luthor. Let us know what you think in the chat there, everybody. But his net worth.
Because he was a billionaire, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Elon Musk is the richest person in history now, as far as we know. Putin might be richer because Putin could be in control of $1 trillion or something. They say.
No, what about that
registered.
Egyptian? There was like a black Egyptian king.
Yeah, Mansa Musa. Yeah, he had a shitload of gold, but it still wasn't. It was like 300 billion, but Elon Musk has recently gone up to like 315 billion. He's just climbing all the time right now.
But what I liked about that story is they were saying that everywhere he went, he gave away so much gold that it would like destroy the towns and the people that were like trying to manipulate the money. I thought that was kind of funny to be that rich.
Imagine be that rich, just passing through.
It's like, here's $1 trillion for your little town. Let's see what happens.
Wow.
Wow.
I like gold as well.
That is funny. Yeah.
We had a big storm. Sorry, Billy.
I was just gonna say, I think gold's really funny because it's sort of like a very useful in certain terms, but very unuseful in others. It's just odd.
That's just beautiful, man. I love gold.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, because we had this big storm in the UK over the last week, and there's loads of trees blown down where I go to walk the dogs, and I just sometimes I'm walking by, I'm like, imagine if like now the the tree's been uprooted and just laying down, and just like a pot there that some Roman guy buried there, or like 1,000 years ago or something. It's got some coin in it, and when the people find that gold, it's untarnished. It just looks like gold, man. Imagine just finding like a pot of gold just sitting there under a tree that fell over. Damn, it would look so weird because it would be so shiny. You know what I mean? Because the gold don't tarnish. That would be so cool to see.
What makes it so good to use in like electronics and other shit like that, isn't it? It's because it's
No, it's
conducted
best
it,
used for
used.
spraying in fine particles into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight. That's
Do
right.
you guys know who Zachariah Stitchin is?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, obviously.
So do you believe in the part of it where he's kind of saying or alluding to the fact that the reason why human beings love that shit so much is because we were here for a while to mine it?
Yeah,
And
for
it's
the
like
Anunnaki.
ingrained in our it's ingrained in our DNA to want gold and silver and all this sparkly shit.
It's a beautiful story, but nah, it's not true. It's probably not true.
No, it's out there. That's why I was wondering if you
It's interesting though. I like that story. I like the whole Anunnaki, and we mine gold so they can spray it into their atmosphere. That's some interesting shit, man. I like that.
And to attract women. It seems like whatever. I mean, even with the Nephilim and stuff, right? It's like whatever is going on in the universe, women seem to have a certain power. Where this is in the Bible, by the way, that they would trade. They would trade certain aspects of what they understood to the human being in exchange to fornicate with the women of the earth. Genesis like 6 something, 6:6, I think it goes into like 6:12. It speaks on this. And if you say that in a Southern Baptist church, you will probably be kicked out faster than anything else because for whatever reason, man, nobody wants to talk about some of the things that seem like it makes more sense to me of why like the flood would be created, right? Because the DNA had been tainted and all these like conspiracy type stuff. So maybe we could talk about that on a show too, because
Let's do it.
in my opinion, it makes more sense of why human beings might be, you as a human being are more important than you probably think because of all the bullshit of materialism, and you got to be rich to be able to even enjoy things, it seems like, or tolerate things at this point if you have a lot of children. And I think that we forget that being a human being is actually pretty special thing. And I will never forget, I had a professor that was breaking it down. He was like a mathematical, I don't know, genius, or at least close to it. And like the odds of you even being born from all the different, little sperm that's going on there. He was claiming, and I guess there's debate on this, but he was claiming that all of us won that race. So when you're talking about like trillions and trillions or billions of billions, whatever it is on the health of the person, you won that big ass race to even be born. Like you were the little sperm that penetrated the egg. And I think about that shit when I'm high on mushrooms and stuff.
Yeah. We think about this random shit.
But isn't that the ultimate, I guess, lottery of life? Is the fact that out of all the billions, you were able to win the one race where it seems like it really does matter. And then we get born here and we think that the only thing that now matters is materialism and being cool and ego and all the stuff that the ancients were kind of trying to get away from. We now embrace full-heartedly.
Yeah, man. At any time you could have been swallowed. It's crazy.
Yeah, the timing of all that shit is so
exactly.
creepy.
That's what I mean. The timing is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Exactly. I love getting high and thinking about it and all that crazy shit. Just how lucky we are to be here, and what the fuck even is this? Just standing on top of this ball, spinning around this ball of fire, spinning around this even bigger ball of fire. It's crazy, man. The whole concept of life itself and being a conscious being that can comprehend it in some way, that just baffles me on its own. And that's crazy shit to think about.
Yeah, the size of like what we live in, if we live in it, is mental, really, when you think about like space. I've got some facts here about space somewhere as well, about the speed of light shit.
916 million miles a second or something like that.
No, it's about it's if you travel at the speed of light, it takes 1.3 seconds to get to the moon. It takes 8.3 minutes to get to the sun. But to get out of the Milky Way, it takes us 2,000 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's just the Milky Way. Like, that's just...
Right.
So,
Isn't it like 125,000 years to get across the Milky Way?
Good Lord.
No, that's traveling at the speed of light. So
yeah, I mean, it's traveling at the speed of light. I think the Milky Way is 125,000 light years across.
It takes 2,000 years to get there at the speed of light. So this is like... And 90 billion years to get to the edge of the observable universe,
That's wrong as well, right? Okay.
which is only 13 billion years long. But we won't ever get there. But that calculation's actually wrong.
Hey,
because we
never
won't
say
ever
never,
get there.
man. Never say never.
Yeah, the wormholes and all that is where that's where that conspiracy drops in. And all
Quantum
that
entanglement and all that shit.
Yeah, and I sort of half believe that could be possibility, like the black hole wormhole type thing. If you get sucked in, do you get spat out somewhere else? So
Crazy shit to think about, man.
bit like birth. Could have been sucked up and spat out somewhere else. But
This is all a
it wasn't.
simulation anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. But at some point, the universe did progress that way, obviously. But this one is a simulation. Just saying. Anyway, everybody got drinks and smokes and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been smoking a whole.
Nah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, on this poll so far, we're about 50-50. And it's like 58% think he is a good guy, and 42% think he's Lex Luthor. Let us know what you think about Elon Musk. Is he the devil? Is he the Antichrist predicted by Nostradamus when he looked into a bowl of water all those years ago? Yeah, I think the Nostradamus thing's bullshit. But anyway, that's a different story altogether. Are you ready for Grow Guides?
You should jot all this down for the next week, like Nostradamus. Anunnaki.
Nostradamus, that guy is so vague that you could almost put it to anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
basically. Yeah.
That's why he
Very
was so
vague.
successful. That's why we're still talking about him.
Yeah,
He was just
that's
big
right.
We
enough.
should talk about Edgar Casey because that guy was accurate and fucking weird, you know?
Yeah. We'll do that after the Grow Guides. Let's do that.
Oh, right.
All right, here's the music. That little tune there used for Grow Guides, just to let you all know, it wasn't written by Elton John. Just saying. Yeah, burn your Elton John CDs, everybody. Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about hash today, and this is episode 24 of the Grow Guide so far. And at this point, you should have been able to follow all of the episodes before this one to get to a stage where you can grow your own cannabis from start to finish. And now, hopefully, you should be sitting on all of this cannabis. Not actually sitting on it. That wasn't in the guide anywhere. It's metaphorical, you know. You got all this cannabis now, and you're like, wow. What can I do with all this cannabis? And there's so many things you can do with it. You're going to smoke it, of course, but you can also make oils with it. You can make edibles with it. You can make hash with it and concentrates. And there's so many things you can do with it now. And I think that's what we're going to cover over the next few episodes is just how to make these different things with your abundance of cannabis. All right, so today's going to be hash. And this week, well, on Friday, I spoke to... what's the Blossom Bell? What's
Cherry
the first
Blossom?
word? Cherry Blossom Bell, yeah. We spoke to Cherry Blossom Bell, who was the assistant to Frenchy Cannoli, who was one of the greatest hash makers of all time. You've got to check that guy out. And that will be going out for the interview this week, and this will be the Grow Guides of this week as well. So we're all learning about hash. So who wants to go first? Who wants to talk about what hash even is? Billy, this is your thing, man, because you
This
make
is
hash
me,
daily,
man, isn't it?
Yeah.
right?
Really?
This is-
Yeah.
this
Well,
is
no,
all
weekly
usually.
weekly at the minute. What is hash? Well, hash is the message, really. As Frenchy Cannoli said, that's what it's all about. The plant grows to give you these trichomes, which is what hash is. It's all the trichomes just collected together, mushed up together in a big ball, and then smoked them beautifully. Because it's all the taste. It's the taste of the plant. It's what the plant produces, really, for you to consume. The leaf is just there to hold it. So that's really what it is. It's the best part of it. It's the most taste in it. It's the most oiliest part of it. The plant is where all the trichs come. So it's like that's where it is. It's the resin. It's what we really want the plant for originally. I think the growing of cannabis and how we smoke it now is because it's a modern way of we've grown it rather than like the old ways of the plants. So it's like cannabis is modern, whereas hash is traditional.
Yeah, Cherry Blossom Bell, she said, and it was a great line as well. She says making hash is just like harvesting apples from a tree. The cannabis plant is the tree, and the heads of the trichomes are the apples. And you want the apples to be really good, so you just harvest those to make your hash. You know, it's like it's a great analogy. I hadn't heard it put across like that before, but that was good, man.
I like
Yeah,
It
that
makes
too.
sense.
is totally. And like to be there, if you consume cannabis and you've never had hash, then you're probably missing out on the best part of what cannabis can give you.
Mm-mm.
It's it's like they say, it's not a concentrate either. Hash is what is the plant. It comes from the plant. So a concentrate is what you make from hash or from the weed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Because
You
that's
make
it. You don't do anything, are you? You're pretty much just
no.
shaking off trichomes and
All
collecting
you're doing
those.
is just you're just removing plant matter, if you know what I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
taking all the goodness, all the good part of the plant. So it's separation and stuff like that. So that's where it's apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's hash is the message. Sam Skunkman, there you go.
There's
So
Chilbit in the
it's
chat jumping in. Yeah, and Chilbit in the chat said it's separation. And that's it. You separate in the active ingredient, which is the trichomes with the terpenes and the cannabinoids in them, and you're separating those from the plant matter, which is like Bowell said in the interview. You know, it's like you're taking the apples away from the tree. You know, it's not like you're doing anything to those apples. You're not making apple juice with them or anything like that. You're just taking the fruit from the tree itself. Yeah, and back in the day, you know, everybody, I don't know how far back in the day is for you guys, but we used to have this shit called soap bar in the UK, and it was absolutely fucking dreadful. And a lot of people know that as being hash, but that's not hash. That was, I mean, it was. I'm sure it was a version of hash. You can consider it that, but that's not the real hash, man. You know, you really have to make your own hash to know what the real hash is. Just like growing cannabis. If you grow your own at home, you're going to have high quality shit. Same with the hash. If you make your own hash at home, you're going to have the high quality shit, man. And yeah, I like making hash. It's just that I don't really smoke it much anymore because it's so fucking strong. What percentages, you know, the THC percentage? What kind of percentage you look at in hash? It's like 35 to 40%, right?
it just varies on what hash you've got. So the rosin hash is like the pressed hash is even stronger. So, but it is literally just depending on what plant it's come from and how concentrated it is. If you know what I mean.
Right.
So how many filtrations it's gone through, and so it's hard to put a number on anything like what's so unique. Each one's quite unique in itself. So it's that particular one again. So that's what makes hash so nice, because it is a bit more. It is slightly stronger because you're concentrating all the trichome heads, so you're getting rid of all the plant matter. So it's going to be slightly stronger than most like weed, but it's only as strong or as good as the weed itself as well. So if you grow a good plant, then obviously you're going to get really good hash. If you go a shit plant, then you ain't going to get great hash, are you? Because it's the starting matter is a lot to do with it as well. So the farmer's important as the maker, hash maker. They're like a twinned connection between the two.
That could be the best weed to practice on, though, if you've never made it before, which I have never done. So I don't know if I'd want
Oh,
to
you've
use
never
like.
made hash, Margaret, no?
Yeah, if
No,
you
I
never
would
made
like to
hash, then
though.
just use
Yeah,
some like old trim and shit like that. Give it a go, and you think,
yeah,
okay, now I know what I'm doing. Now I can use some actual buds and shit like that. So
right.
it's as a trial. But if you've got like a field worth of cannabis, then use like only a quarter of it first of all to, you know what I mean, to then have a test, and then you've got 3/4 left to then do a run on how you want it to do. So
Anyway, you made hash before, Brian?
I have not. Like you were kind of saying, if you have a lot of cannabis, it's great. But if you're a home grower, especially in the early days, there were so many mistakes being made that a lot of people. I guess I'm dating myself here, but the only time I was involved in that process was we were still doing BHO. And I've realized through basically a decade now that there is something special about rosin, and there's an art form to it.
Yeah.
And so, especially in the kind of mid days, I guess, if they were talking early days, now mid days, you don't want to fuck that up, because that could be your entire grow. And if it's at like 3% or 4%, you might not even be really making any money. So I've always trusted others to do it, but I will say, like, making temple balls, or if you really want to see if you're into smoking hash, when you're trimming the stuff that comes on your gloves, you can kind of take that as, we always used to joke that was scissor hash. And you could kind of play around with that. It's a kind of a crude, it's going to be a little bit harsher. But you could see, like, hey, do I enjoy being a little bit maybe higher than I realized I could be off of flower? And I've also heard, maybe it's cherry blossom, and got that from Frenchie, but when he was going around in the early days with Indo Expo, he was kind of saying, like, all right, we all love the bananas, because he was kind of using that, as the analogy. So if you like to eat a banana, what is the point in eating the banana without peeling it, breaking the stalk off, because there's too much plant material. So if we're trying to get to the banana, then let's peel the stalk, get that off of there, and start eating the banana. I thought that was a very good analogy. It's probably the same kind of thing with the apples. She's kind of taking her own ring, but that's the reality for people that have never actually smoked hashish. If you're into cannabis, like, you're a daily smoker and you've only smoked flower, I think, this is my opinion, but I think you're missing out on the real beauty of potentially with the plant, because you're so used to smoking the plant matter, and myself included in the early days smoking the blunt where you'd have the tobacco and all of that. I never realized what just pure good cannabis tastes like from a flower standpoint. And then moving on to, I only smoke rosin now for my health, and so that I don't stink around my children. And I also have attribute some of my success to be able to kind of just sit here and clearly think and try to come up with ideas, than always constantly having to roll blunts. I felt like I was doing that like every other hour. Where with this, I do have a little Puffco. I throw in there, boop boop, with a couple of clicks, and then I get stoned.
And that's it.
I
You
really
just
like that
mentioned,
analogy.
yeah, it's definitely a good analogy, the banana one. But man, if anybody is out there who hasn't had hash, if you're reasonably new to cannabis and you've come to your harvest, you've got some, take an ounce of that cannabis, man. Just an ounce. If you've done the 4x4 with the 4 plants in it, you might be sitting on between 16 and 20 ounces, hopefully. And you can take one of those ounces and just make some hash out of it, man. If you haven't experienced hash before, you're gonna have to do that. You have to really go and try this shit, because it's delicious. But there's a few different ways of making it, right? And I'll just quickly explain to people. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take the buds, all the sugar leaves, anything with the trichomes on it, the crystals on it. Preferably use bud, but like Billy said, when you're just learning, if it's the first time, you can just use some popcorn buds and sugar leaf. But that won't make the good shit. If you want to make the really good shit, you got to use some bud, in my opinion. But anyway, you're going to get this stuff. You're going to essentially... Some people like to freeze it for like 24 hours beforehand, because you got to make the tips of the trichomes. And we've mentioned this before, how the trichomes are like little mushrooms that grow on the buds, got a stalk and a round ball at the top. You're going to try and get those round balls off the top of that mushroom shape. When you were checking for harvest, when it was the right time to harvest, and they would be clear, milky, or amber. Those are the trichomes, right? So we try to knock them tops off the stalks. And the best way to do that is make them cold and freeze them, because then the stalks become brittle and the tops break off nice and easy. If it's not cold, then it's going to be a little bit more sticky and won't break off so easy. So one of the things people start to do when they go to make hash is freeze it for a while first, so them trichome heads fall off the stalks a lot easier. Do you freeze yours, Billy, before you start making your hash? Because you make hash weekly, like you say. What's your whole process, man?
Yeah, I freeze it at least 24 hours beforehand.
Right.
It just makes it so much simpler, makes it more brittle. So, like you say, it all just then falls off. It makes the process simpler, quicker, less abuse. And
because you've got the ice water hash and the dry sifting is two different methods that you can use to get this shit, right? So you don't necessarily have to use water.
Yeah.
You go dry sift, don't you?
I mostly dry sift just because it's simpler for me with the machinery I've got and how much I make, if you know what I mean. I only make a little bit, so it's... But I save up other material then to make ice water hash like every 6 months, which I'm just about to do this week, actually. Right. So,
and this is one of the things French mentioned as well, because these two different ways of making hash is you can use ice water hash, is where you're going to put all of the buds and the leaf into some water. After it's been frozen for a while, put it in some water with some ice. And then you're going to agitate the water. The French, you always mention the agitation was the important thing. Is making sure that you're agitating the water as much as possible, because the more vigorous it is, the more trichome heads are going to break off these buds and these leaves, and that's what you're trying to harvest, you know. So you got to make sure you stir it real good for a while, and that's the ice water hash. And after it's been sitting for a while and stirred a shitload, sometimes people use this washing machine thing that you can get for making hash as well. Then you'll filter that out through things called bubble bags. We'll speak about them in a little bit, and you'll collect what is sifted out, and that's how you make the ice water hash. But when you're using just dry sifting, it's called, and you know, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You're not wetting the buds in this circumstance. You would have dried and cured them, and then you'll put them in the freezer for at least 24 hours to get them cold, and then you're going to use a screen or a bubble bag without the water just to try and break up the bud and get all the shit off. So I explained some of the process there about the bubble hash going into the water. You know, you're just going to put the broken up buds after it's been frozen 24 hours into the water with the ice, stir, get a mixer on it, you know, give it an hour, as long as you can, and it'll break off more buds and then filter that out. But with the dry sifting process, what's the whole score there, Billy? So you've frozen it, and then what do you do with the frozen buds?
Well, there's a few. You've got things called tumblers, which is like I use a small tumbler at the minute, and so you can put your stuff in that.
Is that like a little washing machine? Is it?
No, it's like a little tumbler. So like it just spins round in a circle. You know what I mean? And it's the whole thing's a big screen, and then the trichomes just fly out off of it. If you know what I mean, and get collected in a box, and then you scrape it all together. Or you can use like a screen. What's also pressed over like a A4 sized frame or bigger, so you get like a frame with a screen what's stretched out right across it really tight, and then you like use your gloves obviously, and then you rub your buds and all of that, or your material on that, and all the trichomes and then come off underneath, and you collect that. So you got like you got tumblers, which you usually get tumblers which are like 10 grand value, if you know what I mean, like industrial size tumblers. And then you get like small ones, which I use for like a couple of £100. And then
Are these tumblers like specifically for making the dry sift?
Yeah, the dry sift tumblers. They've got like a screen in it for it. They're a sifting screen.
Kind of microns, because you have these different micron size bags, don't you? Like for the bubble bags, there's about 5 different microns you can get, 5 to 8.
Yeah, so that's the difference. Like the tumblers that are normally just one size only, so it depends on what micron the tumbler is. It'll say on it. That's why people use like the screen presses, because then you can get different size screens for different types of hash. You know what I mean? So you can get more. Yeah. So that's done that way. So
Shilbert just said in the chat that the pollinator released by Mila Jensen in the 90s to 2000s is what Billy uses. Okay.
Yeah, I was just looking that up actually. The pollinator.
Yeah.
That's right. So Mila's been on the show as well. Yeah, and we had a discussion about that whole thing a while ago now. Must be over a year. And there's Annie in the chat from the High Ladies. Just a quick shout out to the High Ladies. What's up?
Oh, hi Annie.
What were you saying, David?
It's just a drum that spins round, really. So in a box, and then that collects it all up, and then you like use a paintbrush really to dust all the dust into one pile, scrape it up, and then that's it. You got a big pile of dry sift, and then that's your hash, and then you squish that and sorted. Hash.
So, what are you saying about squishing it? What's the whole process there?
I collect it all together, tool, right? And then I use just an actual press, a rosin press, but I only press it for a short time,
right?
On heat, so it's just sort of just pressed together for a short period, and then left to cool, and then that's it done.
Nice and easy, man.
There's almost nothing better than that, man. If you've never experienced pressing your own year-grown weed in a press and then smoking that shit, you feel like king of the castle.
Yeah, when you do the whole process and make your own rosin and your own hash, and when you've done, like you said, the whole process from start to finish yourself, you are like, fucking, that was brilliant.
SG2 asks here, what temperature on the press?
I do 104 degrees Celsius for about 30 seconds.
Okay.
But you don't press it really tight. You sort of press it so it becomes like flat and squished together, but you don't press it like press it like you are pressing like it is for rosin. You just make it into the block. You can feel it once it's tight. You know what I mean? Because when you do your rosin, you go tight and then you press it all the way down. You know what I mean? So you're really pressing, like squishing it together. You're not squishing it together. You're just pressing it into a block and then heating that block for 30 seconds.
You don't necessarily need a rosin press, do you? You can just there's a little hash presses you can get from places like Ali Bongo for just a few quid, and you'll put the powder in there and screw the thing to compress it. You don't necessarily use a
pollen
rosin
presser.
press.
Yeah. You can just press it together, but they're not as good as using a press because obviously
You could use your girlfriend's hair straightener if you're really trying to be crude. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm not pressing
Tasty.
it into
Yeah,
rosin.
there's
You know what I mean?
true. Yeah.
When I press the dry sift, it's still a hash block. Like if you look at all the pictures on my Instagram, that's all pressed in the rosin press. 30 seconds, blam, done. And it just like heats the hash.
Yeah.
Do you know like with French it does with the bottle of hot water?
Yeah, I've seen that rolling.
It's the same thing, but I can't be fucking asked to do that with all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because I could just switch on a rosin press it for, let it heat up, press it for 30 seconds and done. Same thing pretty much, but without the water bottle. And I'd say
It's just
to me,
faster.
it's just faster and more easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Especially then you're not having to deal with hot water and boiling water and pouring it into a bottle and then, you know what I mean, heating it up. It's just more instances for you to burn yourself. You've got to use gloves to press it, and then you got to use a lot of pressure to press it. So you've got to have like a whole surface to use. You know what I mean? It's just so much more to do it. I can understand why French, they do it that way because they've got the space to do it. And you know what I mean? When you got
it always concerned me as well, filling that water with the filling the bottle with the water and having to roll it as well. That's
you got to have heat-proof gloves and everything and all of that.
What if the fucking bottle cracks, man? You putting on
the
a pressure
bottle cracks and you got all that boiling water
Scary.
spaining all over your legs and all that when you could just use a press 30 seconds and then like
but the press is gonna cost you. How much that press cost you?
500 quid.
Yeah, it's work your way up to that, everybody.
Yeah, but like that's what in the UK that's 2.5 ounces of weed, mate. Yeah, so it's if you've not bought any weed and you've grown it, then you've saved yourself like that money. So you can afford to spend that money on. Just save it up. If you can afford to grow weed, then you can afford to buy one of these presses. Just stop eating Domino's pizzas for a year, and you have a press next year, and you'll be making your own hash.
Domino's for a year? What the fuck?
But what would you rather have next year? A Domino's pizza or a press to make your own hash with?
No, but that's numerous Domino's pizzas. That's like 10 visits to Domino's,
he said for a year.
Exactly. So you there you go. So like that's the choice.
That's a decision you all have to make out there for yourself, everybody. Do you want Domino's for a year or a press? Do you let us know in the chat which one you decide? Well, let's run through this process again, right? So we have you've got the buds or the leaf, what you're going to use to make into hash. Then you've frozen it for at least 24 hours. And after that, you're going to decide which process you're going to use to make your hash. And you need to either get bubble bags if you're going to be making the water hash, where you're putting that in with the cold water with loads of ice cubes, mixing it up a shitload, that agitation. Remember, like Frenchie said, if you're going to do that, you want bubble bags for that. And just quickly, you can also do dry ice hash, where you're going to use those bubble bags, and you can buy some dry ice from a website, coolstick.com, I think it's called. But if you do Google search for where to buy dry ice, you'll be able to find some. And you just get some of that stuff, drop it in the bags with your buds, the broken up buds, and give it a shake, and the trichomes fall out the bottom. It's a really easy way to make it. Yeah, dry ice hash is fucking so easy to make. But the thing is, get dry ice, and you got plenty of buds with that outdoor. You got some bubble bags.
Bubble bags too.
Man, you make yourself some dry ice hash, man. It's so easy. The thing is, if you want like the original hash, then I think dry sift is the way that Frenchie preferred, because he thought even adding water to the buds affected it. You know, it's like if you want the actual, just the trichomes and the terpenes and what that specific cultivar of cannabis is trying to express, then even using even the cleanest water is still going to add shit to that. There's contaminants from that water that are going to change what that cannabis plant specifically is trying to express. So dry sift is the best way. According to some, anyway. You have to think what's best for you. But for the screens, is it the same kind of thing as bubble bags, Billy? There's multiple different micron levels you've got, and you have to buy a set of screens. And if so, where can you get those from?
The screens are quite difficult to get in a way because they're sort of expensive for what you get. You're best off going on the internet and looking at the art shops because they sell screens for screen printing. It's the same stuff.
So you're not looking at specific microns then?
No, you're looking at a T value or something. So, but it's very similar value. So if there is conversion charts and all that online for all that stuff to tell you, so it's quite easy. Or just contact people who are already doing it.
Yeah, just ask over at the forum. Somebody would know. Yeah,
and so it's just more like just trying to find that really, and what suits you the most. If you know what I mean, because. The screens, what size do you want? An A4 size screen? Do you want a bigger size screen? If you know what I mean. So it's like it's personal to you and how you're going to do it. So it's just more. You can buy ones what's specifically already pre-made. So you got money's no issue. Then get the pre-made ones.
Yeah, Chilbert in the chat there again. Another shout out to Chilbert. He says, "Get cheap screens from art shops." So yeah, you can do that. Apparently, just try different ones. But if you want to get specific bubble bags, the good shit, of course, you can head over to alibongo.com. They have just about everything you need. They even have the little hash presses if you don't want to buy the bigger rosin press just yet. So you can get all that shit from Alibongo for a good price.
You can get cheaper rosin presses for a couple of 300 quid. I just got a bit more of an expensive one because I had the cash at the time. So, but
Chilbert's also recommending that you don't use dry ice.
Yeah, dry ice hash, it's going to be low grade, like you said. You know, that's the thing. Is if you want the real good shit, going for the ice water hash, that's going to make you some good hash. But the just the screen where it's just the cannabis being filtered, you know, after it's been frozen, that's going to get you the best, the cleanest. You know, you just have to get the right micron size. And there's so many different bags. I think the lowest micron is like 23, and it goes all the way up to 120. You get them as a whole set. So, yeah.
Dry hash, we used to call that, or dry ice to make the hash, we used to call that the hood hash because it would come out blonde, but it would be so harsh.
It's because you get a lot more plant matter.
Yeah, I mean, these are the early. Yeah, that's early tech. I mean, there's so many better ways to do it. Static tech is probably the best
that's
way
a
to go
new one.
Yeah. Static tech is what you do mostly with the dry sift afterwards. So if you've got a big tumbler, like, and you're doing like ounces and ounces and ounces of like fucking weed, then you do static technology on that. And then that's
so just for those who don't know, can you explain what the static tech is?
Right, static tech is basically you're getting a load of static. So imagine you get a balloon, you rub it on your on a balloon on your head or your jumper, and you get a load of static, and then you wave that over the hash as such on the dry sift, and it collects all the particles, all the shit off of it. Yeah, basically, and it like static, and it cleans up the hash of all the stalks.
So it takes away the shit or picks up the good shit.
And it takes away the shit, so it only leaves them behind. But you got to be quite careful. You got to be like hovering above it. It's quite a specific technique, and it's very, very connoisseur way of making hash for sure. I haven't tried it yet myself, but it's like you use the static tech. Is basically you use it to clean. So do you know how everyone knows how static works, doesn't it? Obviously, you get close.
No, explain it to us. Get scientific, bro. No, the positive charge of this neutron.
Basically, it makes a electrical charge as such, and it collects all the hoovers up the shit. Literally, that's what it does, and it cleans your hash into more pure. And then you squish that together, and then you get your proper temple.
Yeah, so that's if you use the dry sift method as well, because obviously by the name it's dry. But if you're using the bubble bags and you're using the ice water hash way, which is a nice easy way to do it, you know, then you'll filter all of that stuff out. Then you got to let this stuff dry for a while. Do you make water hash at all, Billy? Or is it all just
yeah. I
dry
have
out?
made water hash before, but like that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's
But
it's a
yeah,
pain in the
I am going to make
fucking
it again
arse,
next
man.
week. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
that's my way.
it's a long drawn out process and all
Mhm.
that, and you have to dry it out and shit. But you do get really nice hash out of
Yeah,
it at the end
indeed.
of it, so it is worth the process. It's just
Mhm.
you've just got to make sure you've got all the stuff to get through all the stages and give yourself the time to do it. Like you need the half a day or a whole day,
Mhm.
and
And enough ice.
enough ice, the
Mhm.
equipment to use it, to stir it with, the time then to do it, the time to dry it, the space to do it all in. So it's just something you need to do in a
Get one of
planned out
those
way.
little again, you all have to go if you're thinking now after listening to all this that you want to go and make some hash. You know, we're giving you the basics here on how to do things, but if you want to make hash, you have to really check out Frenchy Canoli's channel, because he was the best in the fucking world at this shit. He made incredible hash, and his videos are so easy to follow, easy to explain, and the man has passion. You know, if you don't know who he is and you haven't checked him out yet, you have to go and check out Frenchy Cannoli. Just do a search for it on YouTube, you'll find his channel, and there's loads of videos. But there's this device that he used, and it was just like a little washing machine. So if you're going to do the ice water hash, you're going to put the ice water in, you know, water, ice, and then all your frozen matter in there as well. And you're going to stir it by hand. Maybe you might get a mixer on it, and you're going to stir it for a half hour, an hour, maybe 2 hours. It's going to be a while. And it's just agitating it as much as possible, with it being cold enough because of the water and the ice for all the trichomes to break off and filter through into the other bubble bags. You know, when you pour it into them, when you filter it all out. But that you have to go and check out Frenchie's videos, because he explains it in such a great way with you know, with passion for it as well, because he like genuinely loved making that hash shit, man. Damn. I've made water hash a few times, and it's just the whole stirring process is long, man.
Right. It does seem like it's like just a production. I've seen it made too, but
Mhm.
I don't really have the space to
Mhm.
do that where I am. at
Yeah, and I
the
don't
moment.
make it often enough, you know. It's just that.
Yeah.
But I think the mini washing machines are pretty cheap, maybe $30-$40 or something. I don't know. If you got one of them machines, Billy,
What ones?
the washing machines, the little
Yeah, I've got a
for
washing
the water
machine,
one, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't mean like a normal washing machine. I mean washing machine for hash, right?
yeah.
Right. How much that cost you?
Got both. It didn't cost me nothing because someone bought it for me as a gift.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
So
the
yeah,
gift that keeps on giving.
You know,
Yeah,
well, you know,
exactly.
some people, they like to be bought fancy shoes for their services.
Exactly. So
Billy
for
likes
Christmas and your
hash machines.
birthday, yeah, exactly. So when your family asks what you want, like just say, yeah, I want a hash making machine, please. I don't want no socks. All clubbed together.
Right.
Yes, I mean, get your family to club together and buy you a hash roasting machines, and
Yeah, man.
that's what you want.
And that's what Frenchie would use as well. He would use the machine to just stir it for ages, and that's good. The agitation is the important thing. That's what Frenchie said, and no doubt he was correct. So if Frenchie said it's about the agitation, that's what it's about. Stir the fuck out of that thing, or get one of them little washing machines. And then what you're going to do is simply just pour it through the bubble bag so it gets filtered out. You're going to filter each micron. Is going to pick up a different amount of plant matter. So the smaller microns let out, like 25 microns, are the worst, I think. Like that's going to let the most plant matter through, and you go up to like 140 microns, which is going to only pick up the smallest part of the trichome heads. There's something in the middle, like I think it's around 75 microns is what's going to
it's
get you
funny.
the best
Gilbert
stuff.
said earlier in the chat that the 25 was usually crap. And the 45 to 80 is what Frenchie was using.
Right.
Depending
Because
on
the actual trichome heads are a certain size, you know, and they go through that 60, 75 kind of a micron level nice and easily. So if you want to capture the most apples from the tree, you know, then you want to use the correct micron size that just has the right size for apples, you know, and that's about 60 to 75. Yeah, you have to try it for yourself as well and experiment with all these different ones, or use them all, because then you got different grades of hash. You know, you can have the real shit stuff, which you just use now and again, and then you got the real special stuff that you use for special occasions and hit the good shit. But then you just got to get it to dry. You know, you separate them. There's a little cloth that helps you dry it out, and you just put it in between this piece of material, press it down, squeeze out as much water as possible, and just let it sit for 24 hours or so, so the water can evaporate from it. You don't want to leave water in it, because it'll go moldy if it's not stored correctly. So you got to dry it like you would cannabis, let it dry out, and then just keep burping it in the jars and shit like that to make sure the moisture comes out nice and slow. But it's a real simple process. It might sound all complicated here from the whole, it's taken us 40 minutes or something so far to explain this whole process, but it is reasonably simple. It just takes a while, and you have to have decent equipment to do it. So I would definitely.
This makes me want to try making it, though.
Sorry, Margaret?
This makes me want to try making it, though.
You've never done it before, so you definitely have to. That's like your
Yeah.
homework this week. And
Yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing.
How much did you get from your outdoor grows? At a decent yield?
I mean, decent enough for the weed that it is. It's the perfect weed to experiment with. So
Okay. Yeah, man.
yeah,
Do it. It's so easy to do. And you have bubble bags already, so that's half the battle done.
yeah,
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 you
that's the
just need to
expensive
get a load of
part,
ice, and I'm sure you just got to step outside to grab that shit now.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely give it a shot and let us know how you do with that. You will enjoy it, no doubt.
Yeah,
And if anybody out there listening hasn't made hash before, then you have to do it as well. That's your homework. Just take an ounce of the bud that you've grown. And what kind of return do you get, Billy? That's a good question there. You say if you got an ounce of cannabis, how much are you looking at getting hash? How many grams after that?
Right, really, the return is where the connoisseur of the making comes out. So really, you want 25%. That's what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, I like that number. But most thinking like 15 to 20% for some. Sometimes it can be lower if you're not done, but you're looking for 25% return at least.
I suppose it depends on the bud as well, doesn't it? Because if you got
that
bud with
really
higher
depends.
percentage THC, then
Yeah,
you're going to
but then
get
really
better
that
return.
depends on what material you're using in the first place and how what material is. Are you using buds? Are you using trim? So the buds are obviously going to give you a better return. Trim's going to give you less. But then also the quality of the plant in itself in the first place. If you're using low quality buds, then high quality trim's probably going to give you better hash because it's high quality. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So this really depends on the material. So
it's good to use top tip leaf rather than bottom popcorn buds. Yeah,
it is. But then if you've only going to experiment or just use what's up the spare, then your bottom leaf popcorn and all that still makes nice hash. It's not going to be as good quality as using your buds, but it's still going to make nice hash. So it's the starting material is everything. But yeah. But also, again, does it really matter the return because you've done it now and you've made it and you're going to do it anyway? So your return will just get more the better you are at making it.
Yeah, man.
And so same as growing weed, the return to get more. The return is the beautiful taste you get from it at the end.
And the thing is as well, if you're getting maybe using an ounce of tip leaf that you were going to throw away anyway. So even if you do get fucking 5 grams back from it, it's 5 grams that you weren't going to have in the first place. You're going to throw that shit away. And you can use the leaf, the tip leaf, the sugar leaf to get those, to make some decent hash, man. If you want to make the real good shit, use buds, good flour. But if you're going to throw it away anyway, might as well try and get some hash out of it. It's reasonably easy to do if you've got bubble bags already.
Exactly. Just save it up if you haven't got much, and then just after a year, then every Christmas, then you say, or for your birthday, every birthday, you pull out your big stash of trim leaf and you go make some hash for yourself.
That's right. Get stirring, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But it's good fun. It's a process as well. And again, if you haven't done it, you have to go and try that shit. You have to go and make yourself some hash, man. You will enjoy it.
Frenchy videos that you can find them on YouTube and on his website. They're also translated into numerous languages too.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if they've been directly translated or if there's subtitles. There might be subtitles, but
yeah, I think Madame Cannoli was talking about that a while ago.
Yeah,
because there was Frenchy Dreams of Hashish as well, French's movie, and that got translated into loads of different languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Frenchy was well loved. There's a lot of people supporting the work that Madame Cannoli's still doing.
Mm-hmm. Legendary, man.
There's also a guy named Professor Q. He grows with a living soil style under Frenchy Cannoli.
Okay.
He's on Instagram and stuff, but I would follow that guy if you're brand new to hash because he has more of that microbial aspect to it. Plus, he's doing the Frenchy stuff. And I've personally smoked his stuff one time when we were all out in California, and Professor Q knows what's up.
Sweet. Yeah, loads of good resources out there, everybody. You know, do your research. Make sure you're properly clued up on all the information before you try and make some hash. And then the more times you do it, you know, the better and better it's going to get. But you have to do it. If you haven't made a hash before and you've just come to your harvest, then this is your homework for this week. You have to go make yourself some hash. Even if it's just with an ounce of bud, you know, some tip leaf or something, go make some hash, man. You can get bubble bags from Ali Bongo, like I said. You can get the dry sift frames from an art shop. And if you have questions, which I'm sure you do, then head over to the Discord or Percy'sGrowroom.com. We're always happy to help you out with questions there. So get in there. Now, just before we move on, how can you store this stuff, Billy? How are you storing your hash to make sure it doesn't go moldy and shit?
Mostly in a wooden box for about a week or two while I smoke the fucker. Yeah. So yeah, I don't really make enough for it to be long time storage because it's like it's smoked all the fucking time. So it's hard. Storage is in the box on my desk, so I can whip it out each morning and night with other various things and smoke it.
Nice. You got any questions there, Margaret? Because I think this is something you might be doing this week.
No, because I think a lot of them have answered while we're
Sweet.
talking. I just need to try it.
Oh, you have to. It's your homework as well this week, Margaret. We want to hear next week about the
That's my
beautiful
kind of
hash you've
homework.
been smoking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, I might give it a shot, but then I can't smoke it because it's so fucking... And I'm going to do it anyway. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Just
I'm
don't
going to
let
make
your
some
dog
hash
eat your
this
own
week.
work, eh?
Fuck. You know what I'm saying? But with that, anything to add to this, Brian, before we move on to the listener mail?
I would just say, you know, I've never been like in charge of smoking the hash in the room or anything, but I've definitely sat around a bunch of friends over the years and watched them do it. And it seems like to me, the guys that were really in it just continued to improve. Every time we were hanging out with them, they made sure that the room was colder and colder. So the simplest thing would be maybe even being in the garage instead of being in the, 73-degree room inside. You're going to find better success with that.
Nice. Good
Yeah,
plan.
cold environment is better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
in
you then,
Canada,
Margaret.
that's
Get outside.
No, there you go. No
Yeah.
excuses now. Go in your
That's right.
garage.
Make it
Make some
outside, man.
hash.
And let's do some listener mail because we have a few good questions here to get to. Let's do it. From Proper OG, we have what are some of the common pitfalls when growing photos from seed on a 12-12 schedule? When is the last time you should top or train? Do you treat them like autos? Seems like a good topic to cover during the new micro grow episode. During a new micro grow episode. We haven't discussed micro growing yet, I don't think. Also, Macky, do you know when to harvest your worm castings and how you go about it, harvesting them? No, mate, you just let them do their thing. Regarding the worm castings, just quickly get that. It's it just takes a while to sift it out. It's like you have to get like a sifter thing, right? Just sift out the worm castings when it's like black, dark. When it looks like worm castings, difficult to explain really. You have to see a video, but it's not something I do very often. I just harvest sometimes. I don't really use it, so it just really sits there for right now. But yes. Check out Captain Matt's Worm Farm on YouTube if you want to find more information about worm castings and shit like that. He knows what he's talking about. So if you don't know who that is, he's been on the show a couple of times. Great guest. He's got an epic channel. So go and check out Captain Matt's Worm Farms.
I did a whole talk with Mr. Grow It. That dude's pretty famous for cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
It was all dedicated to worm farming. So you guys can just type in my name, Brian Walksman, Mr. Grow It, and it'll pop up.
Sweet. And for the 12-12, anybody grown photos on 12-12 before from seed?
When you're saying photo, what do you mean?
Photo period cannabis plants.
I
Like
do
as-
sometimes.
Like not an auto.
Yeah, what? I guess that's why I'm confused. How else could you grow them without 12-12?
But from seed, because you grow 18-6 for a while and then you put them on 12-12. but some people like to grow it from.
Or yeah, 24/7. I would say with veg, especially if it's a perpetual.
No, say no
yeah.
veg. You literally just pop the seed. As soon as it's sprouted, you whack it into flower stage, straight from.
Yeah.
Like,
So
do it
nursery.
micro?
yeah, well, I mean, it can be a micro grow. That more depends on the size of the plant. I find it's just usually people would put the plant on 18.6 for a while, say 5 or 6 weeks to go through the vegetative stage, because the plant's going to grow pretty big during those stages. But when a plant's grown from seed, it's going to take 4 or 5 weeks of the plant growing before it reaches the sexual maturity stage, where it can even start to flower anyway. So you keep it on 12-12, and it's still got to be 4 or 5 weeks before that plant starts to flower, maybe even 6, depending on the strain. But well, if you wanted to do something straight from 12-12, cuttings is a good way, because you can take cuttings from that plant that's 4 or 5 weeks old once it's reached that maturity stage, and those cuttings can be flowered straight away regardless of what size they are, as long as they've been rooted. So if you're going from seed on 12-12, you're going to look between 4 to 6 weeks before flowers even start to grow, and then it's not going to be as big as it would have been if you vegged it more, because, you know, more light would have made it grow more because it's producing more food for itself. But yeah, you just treat them like autos, really. When it gets to the 4th node, top it so you're just above the 3rd. You know, some just a little bit of training for the next few weeks until flowering kicks in. You treat it like an auto as much as possible. It would just be a little bit shorter than an auto because it hasn't had the extra 6 hours of light a day which it could have had. You know? Hope that helps there, Proper OG. Anything to add to that?
I would say if that's what you're doing, you're better off just like saying having just a really short veg stage, just to give them that bit of extra, top it, and then whack it into sort of flower.
Electricity is pricey now, you know what I'm saying? Fuck.
Yeah. But that's maybe why they're doing it. If you know what I mean, it saves that 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day. It's a third, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a third.
Yeah.
If you're growing autos, then you're having that on 18.6 every day. So that's 6 hours saved. You know, it's a third, man. It's a substantial amount, really. Adds up.
But if you're growing from seed, I would think that usually for me at least was I'm taking my time with this. There shouldn't really be a rush.
Yeah, if you're growing a photo period plant, then yeah, it's usually the case. Because you can grow autos on 12-12 as well. It's not like you need to grow autos on 18.6. I just think it's best to give that 4 or 5 weeks of 18.6 if you can. Well, that's my opinion. If 12-12 from seed works best for you, do that. As long as you're growing, just do it. Then we have from Filmy Bowls here, which is a question for you, Margaret. I don't know if you want to answer it or not. You don't have to if you don't want to. He says, here's a simple question. Marge has changed to Margaret. Why? Or is it the Mandela effect?
I don't know what he means by that, but
You don't know Mandela effect?
Bernstein Bears.
Okay, this is one of the things we need to discuss on the Christmas session.
Yeah.
No, I just I was never really a big fan of that nickname, Marge. So I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I don't need to keep it. So
That's right.
I changed it back to Margaret.
And her name's Margaret.
Never really suited me that much anyway, so
I think whatever you want to call yourself suits you just fine, Margaret.
thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
That's it. And I think I've said it before as well, how Christopher Hitchens, who was a fucking legend. If you don't know who Christopher Hitchens, check that guy out. He was an absolute legend. And he would never want anybody to call him Chris. And he would tell them, he's like, my mother named me Christopher. You will call me Christopher. You know?
Right.
It's like, whatever you fucking like, isn't it? It's your name. Yeah. But yeah, there we go, Phil. It was just a Mandela effect, bro. We have always called Marge Margaret. It's always been Margaret. What are you talking about? Cookie Grow asks, until it wasn't, indeed, you know. We should go through the episodes and change it, you know, like the Ministry of Truth, you know.
Oh,
East Asia has always been at war with Eurasia. Gosh. So Cookie Grow asks, I'm getting shite weather, lots of rain. Unlucky, bro. He was just telling us the other day about how hot it was down in Australia. It's 45 degrees here, lads. And now he's getting shit weather with the rain. I'm not saying karma's a thing, but, you know. And, you know, he loves the river as well. You know what I'm saying, Cookie Grow? Inside joke there. With the rain and humidity, is hitting between 80 and 90%. Fuck. Without a dehumidifier on. I'm 2 weeks into flower,
weeks.
so Q.
2 weeks.
Should I already be concerned about bud rot this early into flower, or are the plants more susceptible in later flower? P.S. New 6-inch extraction on the way. Happy growing. What do you think about this, Billy? What do you think? He's getting massively high humidity, but he's only 2 weeks into flower. Should he be concerned about bud rot at this stage?
No, because they're not buds, are they? They should just be fluffy little popcorn flowers.
But you know what we want to be concerned about? Stem rot, because that's
Yeah.
also a thing. Still,
root rot.
yeah. Keep the air flowing, man. Make sure there's no stale air pockets where the mold spores could germinate, and you'll be fine. You know, the high humidity is a bit of a pain in the ass, for sure. But the number one thing you need to focus on is making sure that air is constantly moving, no stale air pockets. What do you think about this one,
gentle?
Brian?
Yeah, I was gonna say gentle breeze.
Mhm.
People all of a sudden are adding like almost like
Hurricane.
or just going overboard. And in my opinion, that can also speed up a lot of different problems. So think of it, cannabis plant in a tropical setting. How would you think the breeze would be? And try to replicate that as best you can.
An oscillating fan as well. Don't just have a fan that's just blasting the plant in one area for 24 hours a day. That's not a good plan. If you get an oscillating fan that moves side to side, one of those, then that helps with that problem as well, because you don't want to blast them constantly.
And we always use something called an air king, and we would take the top off as long as you're intelligent and you don't cut your ear or something like an idiot. But you can take that front part off. That way you can clean it and stay on top of that. As long as you're staying and cleaning that oscillating fan will keep a lot of your problems down. Whoever was asking that.
Yeah, man. Good luck there, Cookie Grow. I hope the weather looks
Cookie
up for you,
Grower.
mate. Yeah.
Okay, part of his problem might be that he's growing cookie genetics.
Ah, that's a good point, actually.
That's very watered down genetics, you know.
Yeah, because the plant's got to be good and healthy at the same time. Yeah. So keep that in mind as well. Keep the plant healthy. And it's only 2 weeks into flower. So it's not going to happen too much. But when them buds get bigger and bigger, you know, them pockets of stale air will form inside the bud itself. So that's when you want to be more concerned. But right now, keep the air moving and you should be okay, mate. There shouldn't be too many issues with bud rot at this point. Right, next up we just got 2 more questions left. We have Growcat, who asks this random question here. If birds aren't real, what pooped on my head outside the other day? I said it's one of your ex-missuses there, Growcat, probably. He's flinging shit at you. But you don't really know about this whole birds ain't real theory. You got to know this one, Brian.
I heard that.
You heard it, Margaret, yeah?
We put up like a bird feeder recently, and it's been fabulous. I'm in my bird watching era for sure.
You get a lot of visitors, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's busy.
Sweet.
A busy spot. I'm surprised how much they eat, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'd like to get a bird feeder, but my dogs will be out there. I'm gonna kill this fucker. My dog's just sitting in the back garden, just looking out for birds to fly by, and then be like, "Yes, missed. Yes." Just constantly looking for birds to kill. You know, that's the type of dog they are. So what can you do? Yeah, man, that's cool. I like nature. I always want like a pet crow or something. That'd be so cool. You know, and that sounds gothy, don't it? The emo, you know. But no, crows are so fucking smart. Yeah, that'd be cool to get one of those. But yeah, if birds aren't real, so there's just this conspiracy theory out there, and it just started off as an internet joke at one point, but now it's not even an internet joke; it's an actual thing because people will believe anything they fucking see sometimes. Where birds are in fact not actually real; they are all government drones. And when they're standing on electrical wires, they stand on one leg because they're charging. That's the that's the idea. They're all government drones watching us via bird's eye view.
So many drones.
But that's it. Yeah. Maybe they top up these bird drones with poop. There, Growcat. You know?
That's part of it.
Have you seen this prank? Random tangent. There's this prank online. I've seen a couple of videos doing it, right? And this lady, I think she's a Filipino or something, and she is sweeping the floor on the deck in the back garden, and her husband Uh, he gets a handful of mayonnaise, right, and he flicks it out the upstairs window at his missus, and it lands on her, hits on the back of the neck. And she obviously thinks it's fucking bird shit, right? And it's the accent that makes it funny, so I'm going to do a bad accent here, everybody. But, you know, he goes downstairs and he opens up the back door and he's like, what happened? And she's like, the birds in this area, they so dirty, look. And then she's got this mayonnaise on her neck and he scoops a shitload of mayonnaise off her neck and licks it, you know? And she thinks it's bird shit. She just starts gagging, just nearly throwing
Like,
up
what are you
all over the
doing?
place. Fuck.
Right.
Oh, it was funny. You gotta find that video, everybody. Find it. The birds in this area, they so dirty.
Yeah, I've been to an area where some birds are quite dirty.
Oh, yeah, man. You live in one, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do in the UK. Gosh.
as I say, it's called the United Kingdom, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, check out that video. Find it, everybody. It's a good one. All right, so one more question here from Oxbud. He asks, what is the best practice for transitioning photo plants from indoor to outdoor during veg without inducing flowering? Asking for a friend. It's very nice of you to think of your friend there, Oxbud. Has anybody experienced this before, taking a plant from indoors to outdoors? Has anybody done that?
No, I have not.
No. No, Brian, have you done this before?
No, unfortunately, everything in Denver has to be indoors.
Okay. No, people would usually go through this period of there's a specific word for it. I can't think of what it is right now. Acclimatizing it, maybe, where you'll take the plant from going indoors, you put it outside for an hour, and then you'll bring it back in, and then the next day it'll get 2 hours, and then the next day it'll get 4, then it will get 8, and then it will get 16. So you're slowly climatizing it to being outdoors in those kind of conditions, because it's probably not going to be warm enough for the plant to just be happy with it after being grown indoors for a while, you know. So you give it that little bit of adjustment time there, so you don't just put it out straight away. When you can do, and it'll get stressed a little bit and it'll recover in about a week, and then it'll carry on doing its thing as it was. But you can reduce that stress by just slowly introducing it to the outdoors and hardening off. Thank you, Gellert. Thank you, sir. Yeah, and Laszlo said it as well. That's it, hardening off. So you just, getting it gradually used to being outside in the shitty conditions rather than just one full out shock, and it will be a little bit happier in those conditions. So yeah, give that a shot, man. And you only have to do it over a few days, maybe a week. Just space it out, a couple of hours here and there until it's out there full time, and it will be fine. But keep an eye out for bugs and shit, because that would always be my concern from going, taking a plant outdoors
Indoors.
and then bringing it back in again. Bugs look like living on cannabis plants, man. Because if you was a bug, where would you want to live? On fucking tomato plant? I don't think so. You want to be cool. You want to be with the cool kids living on the ganja plants. Oh yeah, bear that in mind. But that's it. Anything else to add to any of those questions? You got anybody have anything to say on this?
I want to be the cool kid on the ganja plant.
I was saying, I want to be one of the Beatles. Living on the buds, man. Oh, we'll see what happens on the next go of the simulation, innit? Spider-Mite Simulator. All those weird fucking games out there, you can be just about everything now. Gosh, Goat Simulator. You've all heard of Goat Simulator, right?
No.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's just a random game that people play. Simulate being a goat, living on a fucking mountain, eating grass and shit. Madness, right? Goat Simulator. Check it out. Yeah. Yeah, that's it then.
I wish I had that kind of time.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's everything. That's all the questions covered there. And any questions about making hashish, if this sounds appealing to you and you want to ask some questions or get some links on where to find the good stuff from Frenchie, then head over to percysgroom.com, or you can head to the Discord. Both are linked in the description of the download. So if you just head there, click those, then you'll head to whichever website you want. And you can ask lots of questions over there. But with that, I think that's all of the questions covered. Let's go on to the outro. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, that's desktop audio. Don't fade that one. Fade this one. And there we go, everybody. There we go. Make some hash. That's your homework for this week, everybody. Don't forget, if you haven't made hash before, get on it. That's what you have to do this week. And let us know how it is. Smoke report and shit. That's what we need to see. It was Frenchie's birthday just the other day, so consider it a way to celebrate Frenchie. That's what you can do. Make some hash. That's with the woman, funny T Green. I think T Green knows what video I was talking about there. Yeah, that's a funny video. Lots of funny videos out there. Check out those drones as well, everybody. Let us know what you think about the drones. And we'll be back on Sunday for a special Christmas episode. Boo.
Boo. Bah, humbug.
Boo. Fucking Christmas bullshit.
You're not selling it, Macky. Come on, where's your festive spirit?
The festive spirit will be here next week. We can all sing some carols
It shows
together,
up about
everybody.
once per year.
Yeah, just once per year on the 25th. Yeah. Did I tell my epic joke? I told my epic joke last week, didn't I? Was it? No, it might have been in a Patreon session. Yeah. Knock, knock. Margaret, knock, knock.
What? Oh, who's there?
Ho, ho.
Ho ho ho.
Oh, your Santa impression needs a little bit of work. Do you see
Is
it?
that on anyone else this holiday season?
Yeah, like 3 people, man. Nobody's appreciated it so far. So what the fuck? What the fuck?
why.
It's Christmas,
I
man.
appreciate
I'm
that
just gonna
joke.
say this is purely objective, but it's not your best work.
Shit. That's what I've been told the other times as well. I think this one's a no-go. Everybody.
Yeah, I think it's time to archive that one.
Shit.
Yeah, I think I'd rather go outside and start hardening myself off like a plant.
Oh my gosh. Just, thanks, Billy. Right, anyway.
All right, mate.
Thanks
No
for joining
worries.
us, Brian. We appreciate you coming along, man. It's always good to have you on the show, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys always having me on. It's fun.
Yeah, no, anytime, bro. Anytime. And of course, thank you to Margaret. Thank you to Billy. Thank you to everybody for coming to join us. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't done that already. Well, I think it's time to cue in some music, and just remember next week is going to be a special episode, everybody. Special Christmas episode, and there'll be Christmas music. All right? Just warning you, especially John Finnegan. I know you're out there. I know you're out there hating on Christmas even more than I do. You know? Stay high and stay safe and all that. Anything to add? Think we're good? Just
Yeah,
check out
good, man.
Bite Me the Show about
Good.
edibles. Don't forget to subscribe to
Yes,
Margaret's
thank you.
channel over there. Bite Me. Search for it. Find it on YouTube and subscribe. That would be awesome. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. Stay high, stay safe. Play Scrabble on Discord. Goodbye.
Waving.
Bye, guys.
Nice.
Bye.